In the fall of 2017, discussions about who would direct the next James Bond film hit the internet. It was at this time that I realized that if we included the original Casino Royale and the non-Eon-produced Bond film Never Say Never Again, that there were exactly 25 months between September 2017 and the projected release date of the then unnamed 25th James Bond film, to be released in November 2019. I decided then that it might be fun to do a monthly James Bond podcast, covering one Bond film at a time in release order, culminating with the release of the newest movie, which hypothetically would line up perfectly. Oh, how wrong I was. I quickly recruited the two biggest Bond-obsessed nerds I could think of, Harris McCabe and Colin Shaw, to join me in this crazy pursuit. They quickly agreed and we were off to the races. In the summer of 2018, our world was rocked when it was announced that the film's director, Danny Boyle, was leaving the project due to creative differences with the script, putting the release date in jeopardy. About a month later, Cary Fukunaga, director of Sin Nombre, Beasts of No Nation, and the heralded first season of HBO's True Detective, was hired to take over as director. However, the release date was inevitably pushed by a few months to February 2020. Unaffected, the podcast, then known as Bondcast, James Bondcast, pushed on. Again, the film was delayed to April 2020, and once again, the Bondcast was forced to make changes, adding filler episodes in which we decided to take a second look at some of our more divided episodes. At long last, the movie was set to release in just 1 month. We were prepping to record our final Bondcast episode before we switched gears and slightly altered our format to become a totally new show, when suddenly our world was rocked once again. No Time to Die, which became the official title of the film in the fall of 2019, was pushed by 7 months to November 2020 thanks to something called COVID-19, which became and still is today a worldwide virus pandemic which forced the closure of all movie theaters around the globe. At this point, we were forced to continue with the launch of our new show, License to Watch, and we quickly had to learn how to record episodes remotely over Zoom, while simultaneously introducing a new element to our show, guests. We decided that when and if the time ever finally came where No Time to Die would see the light of day, that we would return to being Bondcast James Bondcast one final time to finish the initial job we set out to do once and for all. So after a year and a half of waiting, with the pandemic still in effect, the movies are slowly beginning to open up again. No Time to Die opened on October 8th, 2021 in the United States, and you bet your ass that Colin, Harris, and I were in the theater on that day. We saw No Time to Die, the 25th film in the Eon-produced James Bond 007 series of films, the final outing for Daniel Craig as super spy James Bond. So finally, after 4 years, let's find out, what did we think of this movie? This is a show about franchises, James Bond movie franchises. You're listening to License to Watch, formerly Bondcast, James Bondcast.
For real, C-Rock?
Welcome to a very special episode of License to Watch, formerly Bondcast, James Bondcast, as discussed in the intro there.
I've got a hot take early. This is the worst of the Alien franchise. I didn't even see an alien at all.
Then you weren't looking hard enough. Okay. We should say before we talk about anything that this is going to be a spoiler-laden episode. We recorded this the weekend that the movie came out, and we're expecting that people listening to this have seen the movie. So if you don't want to be spoiled, if you haven't seen the movie yet, please turn off your podcast machine doohickey now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because going forward, we are going to say a bunch of...
Stop cranking it.
Yeah, stop cranking the podcast out and just pause it and come back, return to cranking later. I really wish we could do a thing where we were like, we're going to talk about the movie and then we'll talk about the spoilers at the end or something like that. But it's impossible because my feelings of this movie cannot be divided from my great displeasure with the stuff that we will spoil. So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, without further ado, starting right now, spoilers will begin.
Also, we're drinking a lot.
Yes. Yes.
He has a kid and they killed him.
Very good.
I think he's fine. He probably
You don't think all those missiles blew him up?
He probably just needed to tell them that so he could, do his own thing.
If you frame by frame it, I think he jumped away at the last.
Away. No, I think that was his arm jumped away in one direction. The head jumped away in a different direction.
I mean, we've seen him get shot before, and he's fine.
I mean, he was also, in addition to being blown up by several hundred missiles, he also had been shot several times at that point. Yeah. It was really kind of it's a painful end. He'd been poisoned. All sorts of things were going wrong for him. And our last image of Daniel Craig as James Bond was standing on a roof with a stupid fucking stuffed bunny getting blown up by a missile strike.
But even if the missile hit him directly in the face and exploded from there, along with 30 to 50 other missiles, who's to say he didn't walk away from that using the power of cinema?
He's bounced back from worse, but the Q smart blood was a little that definitely was registering not a lot of pulse activity there.
It's just another little game he's playing with Q. Yeah, it's one of his little tricks.
Little sassy James Bondness.
I mean, so what we're gonna do for this episode is we're applying a James Bond movie to our new format. So we're gonna summarize the plot. We should probably do that right off the bat.
Let's just do that now.
And then we're gonna play top 4 later, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We got some crazy shenanigans up ahead. For this, we didn't know who was gonna summarize the plot, and so we decided that all 3 of us were gonna try and do it. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay, are we gonna time it?
Yeah, we can. Colin, you can go ahead and start the clock.
And I'll do the clock. Okay.
Are you gonna toss it just to one of us at random?
Yeah. I don't want to spoil that.
Are we only going to do one toss, or are we going to just keep going around?
I think we should interrupt each other when somebody forgets something.
Oh,
I think that's important.
That's going to be crazy.
Yes.
I'm gonna start right now. Okay, so the movie starts in Italy, and James Bond.
No, it doesn't.
You forgot the Norway flashback.
Jumping in already.
Oh, Oh, yeah.
It's going great.
10 seconds in. Okay, the movie starts in Norway, and there's a little girl, and she's like, "Hey, mama, stop drinking so much." And she's like, "You shut up."
But in Norwegian.
Yeah, in Norwegian. And then there's a guy out in the snow, and he looks like he's coming.
Kabuki mask. He's got a kabuki mask.
He's got a kabuki mask.
He kind of looks like he's up to no good. He has a
because
bit
of the gun. Yeah, he's got a limp and a gun.
Yeah, limp and a gun. And basically he ends up barging in there and killing the mom, and then almost killing her, but then not killing her after she falls under the frozen lake.
And saves her instead.
Yeah.
And then,
that's where you're stopping after the first scene?
Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, then we go to Italy, where now we're basically picking up where Spectre left off. Bond is chilling in Italy with Madeleine Swan, and they're having a grand old time. She convinces him that he needs to let go of Vesper once and for all, and that he should go to her grave, which is nearby. And so he goes, and in classic Bond film fashion, there's a bomb at the grave, and it blows up, which I thought was great. Yeah. He realizes, or he thinks that Madeleine set this up, and so he races back to fuck her up. And he's chased. He gets her in the car, and there's bad guys, and there's a whole shootout. It's the longest cold open of Bond ever, I'm pretty sure. And he fucks up all the bad guys, and then drives off. And I forget how it ends.
I think we get the title sequence.
Oh, he puts Madeleine on a train and says, "Bye, bitch."
And then we get the title sequence, and then we jump forward 5 years, where there's an MI6 lab that is sort of a secret lab that this guy Valdo Overchev guy is this scientist in this lab, and he doesn't get along with his coworkers, and they're making some secret shit, and all of a sudden a bunch of dudes come in and start fucking shit up and blowing shit up, and they kidnap the scientist, and he's kind of in on it a little bit, and then
they kill everyone else.
They kill everyone else, and they steal some secret shit. And then we see that Bond is retired to Jamaica, and he's chilling out in Jamaica, and Felix Leiter, his old friend, comes in and with his friend, what's the guy's name? The character's
Ash.
name. Yes, yeah. Logan Ash, yeah.
Lance Bass.
Yeah, Lance Bass.
We forgot to say this is 5 years later, right?
Yes. No, I said it. I think I said it was
You
5.
did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so Felix is trying to recruit him to help get the stop showing me the time.
Don't worry about the time. We're not doing 2 minutes. Yeah. We're just going fast. It's
so he tries
fast.
to recruit him to get this scientist back, and Bond's like, fuck no. And meanwhile, we also learned that Bond has been replaced at MI6 by Lashana Lynch, who is the new 007.
name's Nomi.
Nomi, yeah. And she comes and tells Bond, stay out of my way. And Bond's like, I'm not even doing this job. But then at the last minute, he's like, fuck it, I'll do it. And then...
so then Bond goes to Cuba, and he meets with...
Paloma,
who's
I just call him Knives Out.
Who's, his liaison from Felix. And she's like, I've only had 3 weeks training, but I might be badass. But you don't know that yet. And so they go in the party, and it's a big Spectre party. Everyone from Spectre's there, and they are having a fucking blast. It looks like a great Spectre party.
You got long-haired Asian guy. You got big fat black guy.
Yeah. So who's who of Spectre?
Yeah. And honestly, they're having such a good time. It makes you wonder, like, how evil were they? But anyways, so the guy who the henchman bad guy who was in both of the scenes where we've seen bad guys already.
Yeah.
Not the Kabuki mask guy.
He's got a bionic eye. Sorry, we forgot to mention
he's
that.
there.
Cyclops. That's what they call him.
So they're carrying around his bionic eye, and it turns out that Blofeld is like just there in
eyeball form.
Yeah, in eyeball form.
Bionic eyeball form.
And
even though he's actually in prison.
He's like, surprise, James, I know you're here, and now you're going to die. And then they gas the whole room. But then all the Spectre folks start to die.
Because it turns out this chemical weapon that they had stolen was this thing that's coded to people's DNA and can only kill specific people. But the scientists had recoded
it.
Yeah, right.
Which we see him switch the thing. We don't understand what that means.
So instead of killing James, it kills all the Spectre guys.
And then we get another great action sequence where everyone whips out a gun and starts shooting at each other. And Nomi's there, and she tries to kidnap the scientist guy, and they try to kidnap the scientist guy. So they have a little competition going between them, while a bunch of like Spectre goons are just shooting everywhere. And
then they escape. Bond escapes with the guy with the with the chip with the chip with the secret information,
the USB stick,
and they get the guy, right?
Yeah, they get the guy.
They get the guy
because he brings the guy to the boat with Felix and Lance Bass.
They go back to the plane.
Right.
They steal Nomi's plane, and then they meet with Felix on this other ship. And then it turns out Lance Bass is a double agent that's actually working for somebody completely different. He says he's working for Safin, and then he kills Felix and blows up the ship that they're on.
Scientist guy was also working for Safin, but he didn't tell Blofeld that.
Right. Yeah. He was a double agent as well.
Yes.
So then Bond goes back to...
He killed Felix. You said that, right?
Yes.
That's a powerful thing. Let's just harp on that.
Oh, yeah.
Felix is
That's
dead.
another spoiler, too.
Yeah, he shoots Felix, and Bond is like, no, we'll get out of this, buddy. It's okay. And then the guy blows up the side of the ship, and Felix gets blown all to hell. And Bond's like, no, we can still get this. And Felix is like, you know what, man? I'm tired.
I'm a disembodied corpse, man.
And then we get a callback to the end of Casino Royale, where Bond is underwater watching another friend of his die underwater as he swims away.
Fuck, I didn't even catch that.
And then we go back to London, right? Where Bond goes back to London, and he has a meeting with M, and he's like, M, what did you do? Because M shouldn't have been doing this biological weapon thing. This was all M's idea. It was his baby, and now it's on the loose.
Is it called Heracles?
Yeah, Heracles.
Heracles, yeah.
And he tells M, like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. And M's like, thank you. I don't need your help.
James is like, Hera, please stop.
And he's like, I got another 007, and she's on this. You can go. But Bond is like, I need to talk to Blofeld. So he gets M and he gets Moneypenny and Q to get him in for a meeting with Blofeld, right?
Right, and Blofeld will only speak to his therapist, who we don't know. Right, and then that's revealed that it's Madeleine Swan. And Bond gets all clammy, and he's like, oh, Madeleine, I remember you. And so... we see that Madeleine meets with Safin, who is that like our first scene with him where we see
yes. Well, aside from the cold open,
yes. So his face is all scarred, and he says it's because his family was killed by Blofeld, and their family is like
his family was killed by Mr. White
under
orders
from
Spectre. Yeah, his family was killed by Spectre,
and his family is some sort of like poison makers. Like they
had an island.
Poison Island
in the Indian Ocean, like between like Japan and
Russia.
and Russia.
Yeah,
that was like an island where they grew poison.
It was a former
honestly,
World War
kind
II.
of awesome, but not handled as well as possible. But we're in the summary right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So
this is helping me actually remember all these things in the movie because I would not.
But that's why his face is all like fucked up looking,
Yes.
because they when they all got killed, he survived, but he was like poisoned.
He's the only person in his family. Yeah.
Yeah. So now he tells Madeleine, he's like gives her perfume or whatever, and he's like, spray this, and like when you go in there or whatever.
Because you owe me because I saved you when you were a little girl. But then she says like, fuck no. But he's like, but I will kill James Bond if you say
No, he says, I'll kill who you love.
Right.
And we don't know at this time. He's
yeah,
actually
that's true.
talking about her daughter.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't catch that either. That's true, because it's like she says, there's nobody in my life that I care about, and he's like, we both know that's not true.
Yeah, but the audience
Think it's James Bond. And I continue to think it was James Bond until a couple of seconds ago.
Wow, yeah, I didn't catch that either. So then, cut to the meeting. She goes in with Bond. She's like clearly nervous. She's shaking. Bond notices and he grabs her wrist and she's like, no. And so he knows something's fucked up, but she gets all worked up and she leaves. And so they're expecting Blofeld not to talk because he's only been talking to Madeleine Swan exclusively. But of course, he sees James and he's like,
just loves to talk. He says a bunch of weird shit.
Yeah.
When you learn her secret,
Honestly,
it would be the end of you.
I would talk to anyone who comes here.
Basically, he says all the trailer stuff.
Yeah, all the trailer stuff. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen everything.
You've seen his entire part.
Yeah.
And so he threatens Bond, or what does he say? He's like, what pisses James off?
He basically says everything he tells him is basically true, and James Bond is like, I'm pissed about this.
He randomly just becomes pissed all of us. I can't remember what it was like. I remember seeing you in the shower and Jovina is small, and James Bond like grabs him by the throat.
Yeah, the choking things felt really forced.
Yeah,
but whatever.
It was
he grabs him by the throat, and like the little nanobots on his body jump to.
But we don't know that right away. At first, they come in and they pull him off, and they're like, "James, get a hold of yourself." And they're all talking to him, and he's like, "I'm under control." And then they turn around, and Blofeld's like fucking dead.
He's dead. Yeah. So like within seconds, they eliminate all of Spectre, which was like the looming presence of like the last 4 movies, and the leader.
They kill off Felix. They kill off Blofeld. They should have just killed everyone. This should have just been a movie where everyone in the entire franchise dies. And they're like, there you go, no more sequels.
This movie should have been called "There's Lots of Time." There's about 3 hours for everyone to die.
3 hours to die.
There's a lot of time for everyone to die.
So, anyways, Madeleine had said that she said she was going home. She's not at her apartment. James Bond realizes she's going back to her house where she grew up in Norway. So he follows her there, and that's where he meets the daughter who
we
has
just passed the 10-minute mark like in our 2-minute summary.
The most beautiful the most beautiful blue eyes in the world. But Madeleine says no, she's not yours. But it's obvious that she says
her name is Mathilde.
And then what happens then? Do they leave? Oh, they get chased.
The best action part, the fjord chase.
Yeah, it's the fjord chase. Yes.
Fjord chase followed by the forest runaround.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yes,
fjord chase and forest runaround, I think, were my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But again, we're in the summary.
So that is the summary. So Lance Bass and a bunch of Safin's men come and chase him with helicopters and SUVs, and they are escaping in some kind of like second-rate Range Rover.
It's a Toyota 4Runner.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a real basic one.
And they're doing like crazy ass car chases, and then they go into the woods, and James Bond single-handedly takes out everyone. And Madeleine Swan, it turns out, is a badass with a gun because her dad was Mr. White and taught her how to shoot. And but she runs out of bullets, and Safin shows up and kidnaps her and Mathilde, and James Bond has lost them again
because he was busy killing Lance Bass.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, his death.
That's
is
my
cool.
favorite death too.
Yeah. He gets crushed by a car.
Yeah.
So how do they locate his headquarters? They know that he's on his island, right?
Yeah, they know about Poison Island.
Right.
And they're
so
like,
they
maybe
figure
he's
out that
there.
Figure out that it's Poison Island, and he and James Bond and Nomi have this moment of bonding where they're like, oh yeah, you're pretty cool. Yeah, you're pretty cool. You can be 007, which also seemed completely
little
forced and bullshit. Yeah. So anyways, they get into this plane. Q gets them this plane, and they fly to this island, and they get into this little glider thing.
Oh yeah, the glider plane. It's like a drone.
Pretty cool.
It's like a glider / submarine.
Yes. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. So they go to the island, and then they just kill everybody, right? They these 2 people run through and kill all the bad guys.
Basically, they do a really bad job of revealing the fact that Safin's plan will basically just kill everyone.
Like in the world.
Without saying anything specific at all, which makes it super ambiguous. But then they're like, yeah, this is really bad. If you in the audience didn't know that we're in the evil lair and bad things are going to happen, I'm telling you right now it's really bad. But don't tell them anything specific about why it's bad. It's just a lot of people will die.
Just everyone in the world will die eventually because it's
Eventually.
just like,
Yeah, so Bond gets the girls out, and Nomi takes them on a little boat, and they escape from the island. but they have to blow the thing up with missiles. But in order to do that, they have to open the blast doors. So Bond has to go to this special room to do it. He opens it, no problem. He starts walking out, and suddenly the blast doors.
Well, he had to kill Cyclops to get to the room.
Oh, yeah. That scene is that's my favorite part of the whole movie. There's like the stairwell scene where Bond is
it's all one take.
It's like a video game. It's all one take. Bond is just like annihilating everyone, and it culminates with him killing Cyclops guy with his watch.
Gadget.
Yeah, and it blows up in his head, and what does he say? It really blew his mind.
Yeah, I showed somebody your watch. It really blew their mind.
That's fucking great.
That was so good.
So then he goes back up to the blast doors are closing, and he's already ordered the missiles. They're already on their way, and there's like 9 minutes away or whatever. So he opens the blast doors again, and this time on his way out, he gets shot by Safin. They have a showdown in the like little pond in the middle of the whole island where they grow the poison, and it's revealed that Safin, which he revealed earlier, he has a little blood vial that is like his
Madeleine's DNA.
Yeah,
it's Madeleine's DNA. We learn, and he tells Bond, he's like, "You're fucked now," because he scratched him on the face with the poison, and he's like, "You now cannot like come in contact with the two people that."
Because he's got these nanobites in him forever, and they will kill anybody with that DNA.
Yeah,
and he double checks with Q. He's like, "Are you sure there's no way to get rid of these nanobites?" And Q's like, "No, I'm sure." And he's like, "Well, I guess I'll take your word for it, and technology can't advance any farther than it has today, so I'm out of here."
Well, which is why we know that he's fine. He's not really dead. Everything's fine. James Bond will return in James Bond 26.
So he climbs to the top of the building.
Well, first we should say he fucks up Safin. He shoots him. Kills him.
And then he climbs to the top of the building and waits for the missiles to fall, and he calls Madeleine on his little comm and says goodbye. And then
she admits that the daughter is actually his, and he says, "I know."
And then the missiles blow him up, and then we cut to allegedly,
yeah.
And then we cut to at some point later, Q and Moneypenny and M and Tanner and Nomi are all having a drink in Bond's honor, and then they're like, "Yeah, let's get back to work." And then at the very end,
Madeleine says to her daughter, "I'm going to tell you a story about a guy named Bond." James Bond, and she says the famous line, "Oh, it's fucking beautiful." Yeah.
And the daughter's like, "You're driving really aggressively, and I want you to focus on the road."
And then Louis Armstrong says, "We have all the time in the world."
Did you catch that they play that in the beginning?
Yeah. I thought it was heavy-handed in the beginning, and then I also thought it was heavy-handed at the end.
If you thought it was heavy-handed in the beginning, then you must have thought it was more than just heavy-handed.
And they worked the line in like 3 different places in the script where characters say we have all the time in the world.
Well, that's a deep cut. Like, unless you listen to our podcast, you will not know what that is a reference to.
It's a reference to "On Her Majesty's Secret Service," the song that plays after James Bond's wife dies. And
when I heard the song, I thought, "Oh, this is clear to me that Madeleine is going to die."
I think that's what they wanted you to think.
Yeah,
this little misdirect.
Yes.
And obviously, like, this is sort of the this is a jumping off point for all the things this movie did different that aren't in any other Bond movies.
Yes,
it did a lot of things that just. This is the first. I think this is the first movie where he's with the girl from the previous movie at the beginning of the movie,
and it's throughout like the entire movie.
Yeah, and
he doesn't have sex with the other two.
Doesn't have sex with the other two.
One of them turns him down.
Yeah,
he says
like, "Oh, you're cute, but you're way old."
Yeah.
Wait, is that what Anna de Armas says?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember,
she like laughs when he thinks she's hitting on him.
She unrolls like his suit to put on.
She's like taking his sheet.
I didn't think that was like a hard rejection.
No. That was. I mean, it was a hard rejection. In that
I did not interpret it that way.
Well, this could explain a lot. No, it was a hard rejection only in the sense that she was like, "I don't even think this is conceivable as a like this. Like, there's just no way. Like, it's so I'm so not threatened by this because there's just no fucking way, Grandpa."
I thought it was just like, we're busy right now. I don't know. I guess I read it differently.
All right,
but also the Nomi is like a hot woman as well, and she's like,
his charm is
that he's around.
His charm is worn off on these women.
So, guys, before we go any further, I think we should say that Harris has made some Vesper martinis for us, and I mean, we've been sipping them, but I think we should have a toast.
Yes,
let's have a toast to finally completing the James Bond series. Yes. It's been 4 years in the making. This is the reason why we set out to do this show, and here we are. Great, did it.
Delightful.
But he'll probably come back.
Well, I mean, I guess this is probably something we should talk about later, but the way this, so clearly they are envisioning the Craig era as its own separate, self-contained Bond timeline. You know, we saw him as a rookie agent, and then we saw him get blown up, which is also something that's never happened. Bond never dies in any of the Bond movies, except for the Peter Sellers Casino Royale, where the whole thing gets set off by the idea that James Bond was killed.
He fakes his own death in at least one, right?
Yes.
You only live twice. He fakes his own death in the beginning.
And Craig has faked his own death at least once before.
Wait, Daniel Craig?
Daniel Craig.
The actor?
The actor. Yeah, no, insurance scams. He's got a sordid, long history. But also in the movies, he's faked his death.
In Skyfall,
Skyfall, yeah, he was, on that island pretending to be dead. And in this one at the beginning.
The island of CGI scorpions?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. But yeah, going off of what you said, they've basically if someone wants to make Bond 26, they've really pigeon-toed them in
Pigeon-toed.
No, I think you're thinking of camel-toed. I think it's the expression you want.
Pigeonholed
they really
them.
camel-toed him into this.
I can't focus if you keep saying camel toe. They really pigeonholed them into making it a very hard reboot of the series if they want to make another one.
Well, yeah, exactly. This is one of the things that I kind of object to. I didn't have a problem with reinventing it as a Bond origin story, starting with Casino Royale, because we'd never seen a Bond origin story before, and it was really well done. And I liked the idea of, okay, since he's kind of a timeless character and we never know where it begins or ends, and it doesn't even make sense that clearly he wasn't young in the 60s and also young in the 90s and also young in the... So I was willing to suspend disbelief. But actually killing him off makes it really hard to be like, oh, and here's a new movie, and this guy's named James Bond. He's a different actor. And I mean...
I
feel
have
like
similar objections.
I feel like they're not going to be able to... when do you think the next one is going to come out? Because I think this is 8
years.
You're looking at at least 5 years before people are like, I'm ready to take another actor as James... I've forgotten about Daniel Craig, and the fact that you blew him up...
Well... I heard a rumor, and I think this is the only way that they could get a new Bond movie off the ground, before the 5-year mark. The rumor I heard is that they're going to reboot it and start it in the 60s, when the books were written, and do basically a Sean Connery thing. Probably bring a little campiness back, which I think could be fun.
Awesome. No, hard no.
Two opposite responses there from what Matt said.
But my worry, what's cool about Bond to me is that. Not so much the modernity, but I like that everything is grounded in reality. And I think if you make it a period piece and still have it with cool, impressive gadgets for a modern audience...
It better not be like the fucking Kingsman with some steampunk bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's my fear. I don't like the Kingsman movies.
Yeah.
I think what they do is stupid. And
I agree with that.
I love the trailer for the new one, which is a period piece and is very steampunky. But also it's a whole different tone. It's a whole different everything. I kind of like that the Bond movies exist in the present at all times. And I like how, even to their detriment sometimes, how they bear the marks of whatever they become dated and they become silly sometimes because of how in the present they
product placement in them already.
Right, but just the technology becomes dated, the vernacular, everything about them.
Colin, what you just said is probably the reason why they won't make it a period piece, because it's so much about the marketing that they couldn't.
But so much of the stuff they market is kind of like Rolls Royce, and a lot of the
Omega.
vodkas, a lot of the alcohol is it was there.
But then they can't take money from companies that are big now and didn't exist in the 60s. They have to find old companies that still are strong.
That's probably true, but I don't know how much they depend on. I mean, I know they make some money on the product placement, but that's not the reason. Yeah, the raison d'etre of the franchise.
By killing Bond, what they have done is in the past, Judi Dench played M in the Brosnan era, and they easily brought her over to Daniel
and the
Craig.
Original M, what's his name, was M through several different,
and the Money Pennies they carried over, but by killing him, they simply can't just recast and start it over anew and have it be the same Money Penny, the same M.
Yeah,
it would just be comical.
They've made the Craig franchise kind of its own self-contained thing.
Yeah, Moneypenny got screwed over,
sealed off. Yeah, that's the thing.
Q.
Naomi Harris, is that who plays Moneypenny,
right.
And what's his name who plays Q? Whatever his name is, and
I forgot his name. Yeah.
So all these people, Ben Whishaw and what's his name, Ralph Fiennes. All these people are in theory would have been the carryovers to usher in a new Bond, and we all would have just pretended, and if the movie was good enough, it wouldn't have mattered at all. But now they have to it's a hard reboot.
It's a hard
which James Bond has never had a hard reboot before.
Yeah.
How funny would it be if they just, like you said, the Bond movies are their own thing, and they just pick it up with another Brosnan movie, like nothing ever happened. They bring Judi Dench back.
Yeah. Judi Dench and Pierce Brosnan is just like old Bond.
He's still alive, right?
Yeah.
They bring that black guy named Colin. You know him?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, right.
I love that guy.
Random Colin.
Yeah, he was better than what's his name, the other like ass kisser for
Bill
him.
Tanner.
Bill Tanner.
Played by Rory Kinnear.
Yeah, Rory Kinnear. I do like how M was like, a character the audience doesn't like in this one. That's classic, right?
Yeah, that actually it felt a lot more like the old M. That was like,
All right,
Bond,
all right.
fuck you.
Yeah. Here's one of the things I want to talk about. I think, okay, this movie, say what you want about it. I think standalone and like for what this movie is and for where it lands in the Craig era, if we're just looking at the Craig movies as their own thing, I think this movie is fucking great. And they did a lot of things that were really cool and smart and clever and great. And one of my favorite things is that it felt like an old classic Bond movie to me. Yes. They did a lot of. I mentioned in our recap, our 2-minute recap, that the bomb goes off at the grave. That is something that's kind of like corny.
Yeah,
it reminded me of an old like Blofeld gag. Like, yes, Bond, I knew that you would come to this grave on this day, and I had planted a bomb.
That's why the banana cream pie hit you right in the face, just as I had planned.
Especially because like it clearly worked as intended, but he was like fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Like that hurt a little.
A bomb went off like 3 feet in front of his face and blew like a marble tomb to pieces. And somehow he got knocked about 5 feet back and was fine minutes later, except for a little hearing loss.
He's like, "Ow, give me a sec."
It's like, "Oh no, my suit's dusty."
No, I think you put this in a group of 5 James Bond movies, it can be the best. But you put it in all of the James Bond movies, it can't be the best.
Here's the thing: I hear what you guys are saying. I felt like this movie suffered a little from being too much like some of the goofier Bonds, only because. Well, did you notice how many times like James Bond like made like a goofy face after like he nearly escaped some, like there was all these moments of like, wah, 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 like all these funny like reaction shots of James Bond, like something crazy happens and somebody falls over and James Bond's like, oh, and like acts like he's like, on a banana peel or something.
Awesome.
Like there was a lot of
I don't really recall.
Oh no, there was so many like double takes, like
where James Bond's score go up.
I felt like there was a lot of goofiness in this movie and a lot of kind of like, almost like Roger Moore era smirking and laughing and goofing around during action scenes, which is fine for a different kind of movie. This is a movie where they fucking kill James Bond and they kill Felix Leiter and they kill all these other people. It had a tonal problem. I felt like it had a tonal problem because it couldn't decide if it wanted to be a fun romp or this movie where they killed all these people.
Here's the thing is like all the action scenes I thought were excellent and extremely enjoyable. And my problem was that Bond dies and he has a kid and like they're trying to give us too much of these other things that like they're trying to give all this depth and other things to the story, but they're like really succeeding with like the parts that they, I guess, are treating as the easy parts, Like, it's almost like this is the easy part of making a James Bond movie. Well, these action scenes are great. And I'm like, but they are really great. And you're like, you're making it too hard with everything else. Like you're overdoing it with like trying to make it's this emotional connectivity, which is what I didn't like about Skyfall, but also what I hated about Spectre is that everything has to be this time it's personal, and this time it was personal again, But, oh yeah, okay. Well,
I was just gonna say like the Bond fan in me like is agreeing with you guys. Like I don't want my Bond to be emotional. I don't want the stakes to be personal, and all that. But I'm okay with a modern movie. I'm like watching this, like it falls in line with the rest of the movies. And like just watching this as a movie, the way they executed these elements that we're talking about was done, I think, perfectly.
And it gives Craig a real arc that I think some fans could appreciate. I know, like Harris's perspective isn't wanting that. My perspective kind of isn't wanting that. I want it to be timeless and always flow through.
Yeah, me too.
But listen, I want to clarify my opinion on Craig and the what he brings to this thing, because I thought like I'm fine with Bond having emotions. I actually think that's Craig's great innovation, and I think it exists in Casino Royale, where like when I haven't read a lot of the reviews on this, but I read a couple just because I was like, what are people saying about this? And one of them was like kind of like shitting on the early Craig Bond movies and being like, yeah, he was just this, misogynist, callous killing machine, blah, blah, blah. They were talking about in the first one how he, seduces this woman and then leaves her to kill her husband and then comes back and she's dead and he doesn't care. And that is not how that scene plays out. He does care. He's just got other shit to do. He sublimates his own emotional, his own guilt over that and his own emotion over that, because he's got a job to do. And it's about a guy like becoming this killing machine when he's naturally, it's tearing him up inside. And the whole Craig era is this guy who's getting eaten alive by the guilt and remorse and the pain of not being able to have these meaningful connections and needing them.
Yeah.
And he conveys that so well. And what I don't like about it is actually, if you're going to give him, so this is my biggest thing about killing him. I wanted this character who had sacrificed everything, this fucking orphan who had basically, from the time he could, for God and country, just was willing to sacrifice everything. They broke his body, they broke his mind. He didn't have any, sure, it seemed like he was jet setting and having a great time and seducing women and everything, but really we saw him miserable all the time. This is the first Bond we ever saw that got drunk, This is the first Bond that ever was dealing with real PTSD. And no, I shouldn't say that because Brosnan did in a couple of movies, but this
and Roger Moore in Octopussy when he had the clown makeup on.
Yeah. But I felt like this guy deserved a fucking run off into the sunset happy ending, and instead they blew him up with a bunch of fucking missiles. And that is, I've got more to say about it, but I'll let you guys jump in.
Well, here's the thing about James Bond is like my perspective has always been a little like away from, I think a lot of, the problem is that like he's out there doing like sexual conquests and it's about like his gratification over women and like not caring about them or whatever. And like for a long time when I was younger, I read it a little bit less like that and a little bit more like these people are all going to die and maybe never meet again. And like, I'm okay with the fact that they're fucking each other. Which I think is like, there's a lot of different opinions in that spectrum about James Bond, right? Like, and about each movie, each character, right? So, like, yeah, I think they tried to go really far away from that. Like, really tell you, like, it's not about sexual conquest with him. He really just loves this woman and, like, loves women and stuff like that. And, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say it was heavy-handed. I'm more with Matt that, like, I like that they tried to do something with the movie where he does have feelings and he does have a story and everything. But I also agree with Harris that I want to see him ride off into the sunset. I want to see him succeed and like go with the girl and all that stuff.
I hate to reference the Austin Powers franchise, but I think a lot of the Bond granted the Connery era was incredibly misogynistic,
right?
But a lot of the Bond womanizing is utilitarian. It's not that he has sex with these women because he wants to. It's because most of them are people that he's trying to seduce
for information,
as a means to the end. So it's like he can't even. Poor Sylvia Trench is never going to land him because he literally, even if he was in love with her, he couldn't end up with her because he's got to fuck.
Come back to the trench.
He's got to fuck all these other women. He can't.
Believe me, Sylvia, I want to, but like, goddamn country.
He can't stay. He can't stay in the trench. He's got to do all this other work. And I mean, that's the Austin Powers franchise actually dealt with the idea of this lascivious, promiscuous spy in becoming a modern man. And the Craig era really, I think, struggled with finding that part of him being a seducer, but being a seducer reluctantly. They just ended up making him less of a seducer. And
the Austin Powers movies are the reason we're here, right? I mean, like they made Casino Royale as a reaction to like the corniness of Bond, right? Mm-hmm. So we got this like hardcore, like real life person, and they had to update him, and they had to do something different, like, because I feel like if they didn't, we'd be sitting here saying like it was the same old shit that we've seen in Pierce Brosnan and we've seen in
And I didn't want the same old shit. And actually, I'm fine. Like, I would have actually been totally fine if the ending was him going off to live his life in private with his wife and daughter. Like, that would have been a satisfying end, and it would have also ended the Craig era with a very, very hard. It would have necessitated a hard reboot. You couldn't just act like, oh yeah, his wife and daughter died at some point and now he's back, and he's a different actor.
I think as a character arc, he is a killer. He is a person who kills. In this movie alone, I think he kills more people than
pretty big body count.
The other movies, that he's in. And so, like, as like an arc, if we're going, you know, like an actual arc, like I feel like he did need to die. Like his character like deserved
no time to die.
No. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean
It's probably just a goof. He's fine.
But I mean,
he's fine.
It's just a goof.
But I mean, by that standard, like, you know, it's not that he's always killing, you know, not that he's got this held to the same standard as like police or, you know, soldiers, but he's killing for his country. He's killing bad guys theoretically. Now, not all the collateral damage is bad, but he's one of the very few that gets to determine, is the collateral damage worth however many other people. He's killing to save lives, I guess is what I'm saying. So I don't, and it's not like it's his choice. He's doing this because he is compelled to by his service to his country to save the world, you know? So I feel like it's not really what I've read a couple of times is people saying that they basically just ripped off the plot arc of Iron Man in the Marvel movies, where, you know, he's got a gateway to the future where he's got a wife and a daughter and this whole life that is laid out ahead of him. But in order to save them and everyone else, he's got to sacrifice himself.
Yeah,
and
that's kind of a good criticism.
And I do, well, yeah, that it's a ripoff.
Yeah,
but I think
even though this movie was shot like 4 years ago, like
yeah,
before
exactly.
Endgame.
Oh yeah, but maybe not a good criticism.
But I think they just stole the ending from the wrong, you know, superhero, because
they
like
should have stole the ending of Dark Knight Rises,
yes,
where
exactly.
they think he's dead, but then Alfred shows up in the cafe and he's like,
because you know the difference.
Well, wait, when I was watching Dark Knight Rises, I was like, wow, they killed Batman. This is a fucking brilliant move. I like love that they did this. Like, it's a solid trilogy.
Oh, I get it. You're just dumb.
And then, no, this is
you just like bad things that are dumb.
No, I was like, this is fucking bold. This is a fucking bold move to kill him off. And then when they revealed he was still alive, I was like, fuck this movie. Fuck everything.
Oh my God. What is it? I just don't understand it. This isn't like some kind of like bittersweet art house movie.
Listen, I'm so glad you compared this to Iron Man and the death of Iron Man, because I feel like I fucking hope that we're in some sort of revolution where now we're going to start killing our heroes off. For so long, for the past 15 years, for the
full revolution.
What a bizarre
revolution.
For the past 15 or 20 years, we've had all these Marvel movies where no one can die. There's no stakes. Like, everyone always comes back. And now it's finally time. Hollywood is like, you know what? We've killed Iron Man.
Just
we've
kill
killed
them all.
Bond. Who can we kill next?
No, but I mean, I think there's a huge difference between Iron Man and Bond in that, like, Iron Man, nothing bad ever happened to him. I mean, literally, he was the unrepentant playboy
his parents were killed.
That really didn't. So, well, yeah, that's bad.
But also James Bond's parents were killed.
Yeah, exactly. Iron Man had a charmed life where everything was great.
Batman's parents were killed too.
Yes. And part of the whole thing with Endgame, because I thought Endgame was brilliant. I'm not always a huge fan of every Marvel movie. I thought Endgame was brilliant, and I think one of the best things about it was the ending and how it gave us good send-offs for all our characters. And part of Iron Man's arc that made his death work was that he had nothing to fight for in that movie. He had everything he wanted. His Pepper Potts didn't get snapped. His daughter didn't get snapped. They were all fine. He actually realized that after all his kicking around being unhappy, he figured out that if he lived in this cabin with these two people, he was going to be cool. And he didn't want to come back and risk his life because he was good. But he was a hero, and he realized he could save other people, and he came back and was willing to sacrifice himself to save other people. That's a meaningful death. On the other hand, Captain America, who was the opposite, who time and time again had given up the people he loved and cared about, and had sacrificed everything, and, you know, had suffered throughout the entire series,
got to go live his life.
He got a happy ending. Iron Man had a happy life, and he ended up sacrificing, you know, the very end of it, because for the greater good. But Captain America, who had already made every sacrifice you could have asked for him, got to go back and have a happy ending. Same thing with Batman, who broke his body and his mind, trying to save Gotham, finally did it, and I wanted to see him have a fucking happy ending. You know, like when they blew him up, I was like, okay, but really, that fucking sucks. And then when I saw that he had a happy ending, I was like, yes, and they had an opportunity to give this James Bond character that had suffered so much, that we had seen him suffer for so long, for other people's safety, and we could have seen him have a happy ending, and that would have been rewarding to me. It's a fucking popcorn flick. This is also one of only 2 James Bond movies in the entire history of the franchise that has a sad ending. The other one is On Your Majesty's fucking Secret Service, which we all hate.
Yes.
That's true.
And
I was going to say it is considered
killed the franchise at that time.
Yes.
Yeah. It is considered one of the greats at this point.
By a bunch of dummies, like Christopher Nolan and a bunch of other idiots.
Whose film we're referencing to make our point.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so they don't have the greatest taste in Bond movies, but they did other things right.
All right, so we've set our stances. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's talk about the different elements of the movies that we usually break it down by.
I'm going to grab a beer, and normally we would edit this out, but I don't think we're going to edit this episode.
Nope, no
so I'm
editing.
just letting people know, grabbing a beer. In case you hear any beers opening, that's me.
We should tell people, how is that any different than any other episode? But we were recording this on a Sunday night, and this episode will be out on Monday morning. So
yeah,
there you
I
go.
saw the film at 11:50 last Thursday.
Sure.
Yeah. Dealer's choice, I guess.
Yes. You saw it at 11:50, like an insane
11:50
person.
p.m., middle of the night. I was up until 4 because of that.
Because it's a long ass fucking
long
movie.
fucking movie. I had fun.
Where'd you see it? What theater?
IMAX at the Century City Mall.
Oh, that's where me and Harris saw it together at noon on Friday.
Yeah.
Where I ducked out of work and thought that I was just going to pretend that I thought I was just going to duck out for a couple hours, pretend like I had a meeting or something, and then realized that it would be my entire goddamn day because it's a long ass movie, and it was just like, yep, I'm out for the day, guys. Sorry.
We are opening our beers. This is the beer opening segment of the show.
Yeah. And I am having a delicious Maui Brewing Company Coconut Hiwa Porter, which is delicious. It is so good.
It's so good.
Colin brought these beers over, and he made some great choices here.
It's so good that I remember the first time a bartender served me the Maui Coconut Hiwa. I said I wanted a dark beer. I was willing to drink a stout, and he said, "Oh, I've got this Maui Coconut Stout," and I was like, "I don't know about that," and he was like, "Just trust me. Like, it's one of the best beers we have," and like, I'm just like, "Look, here's the deal. If it tastes too much like coconut, it's probably not going to be good." And he's like, "Just trust me. It's not. It does taste like coconut, but it doesn't only taste like coconut.
Yeah.
It tastes like a beer."
I will say,
I was like, "Okay."
if you have the opportunity, Maui Brewing Company makes a lot of good beers, but this is probably my favorite.
Yeah, they're really good.
How do you pronounce what's the other word? Maui what?
Coconut Hiwa, I think.
Coconut Hiwa. Yeah.
Hiwa.
Hiwa. Yeah. I mean, I'm no Hawaiian, but that sounds correct.
Yeah, and we were talking about James Bond. We were like, what?
All right, so what are we moving on to now?
Let's talk about the villains.
Okay, let's talk about the villains.
So we've already kind of talked about Bionic Eye, Cyclops dude. He was pretty cool.
We haven't talked about Rami Malek's character's full name.
Yes.
Should we just get that out of the way?
Was it Safin what?
Lucifer Safin.
Oh, yeah, Lucifer.
Just a terrible misspelling of Lucifer.
Lucifer. Lucifer.
Yeah, and he's a combination of Russian and Japanese because the island is in between.
Russianese, I think, is what it's called.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Honestly, the island, the sets.
Honestly,
everything production design in this movie was like a 10.
The look of this movie, I'm seeing it again.
Cinematography.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
I'm seeing it again tomorrow in the IMAX, the City Walk Theater. That's the one where like the aspect ratio opens up to the full extent of the screen. I'm very excited. Max. Yeah, because the Century City Theater we saw is actually considered LIMAX. So it's like still a big screen. And
Fooled me.
It's loud and shit, but it's not as big as, you're not getting the full aspect ratio.
It looked dope. It was maybe, I mean, nothing. There will never be a Bond movie that looks as good as Skyfall. I don't think. I'm afraid.
I think you're right. I also think Quantum of Solace looks really fucking good.
Quantum of Solace was a great. I mean, honestly, all the Craig movies looked pretty good. Skyfall is like head and shoulders above everything else, but this one looked great. This looked great. I mean, there's a lot to praise about it, but like you said, the sets are all incredible, very inventive.
Lighting, camera.
Yeah, the set pieces of all the different scenes, the Norway scenes, all the action, the scene in the woods, the scene in Italy at the beginning, it's all just dynamite.
Do you want to know why Casino Royale, I think, like, people will always say, like, it's never as good as Casino Royale. I think there's two reasons why Casino Royale stands out above the rest. One is Eva Green as Vesper.
actual chemistry too.
Chemistry, but she's just like she was at her peak hotness in that movie. She just looks so fucking good.
She had a long peak of hotness, but that was part of it.
That was her peak. That was like her introduction to the world. That was like her first big movie, I think. She was in Dreamers.
Dreamers, yes. That was her introduction to me. But
yeah, that was her introduction to
Handlers.
Handlers.
We have all seen the Dreamers.
I definitely enjoyed certain parts of the movie.
Yes.
There's some nudity in that one, in case anybody out there is wondering what we're all winking and nodding at each other about.
It's like 90% nudity.
Yeah. We're being such little hornballs.
Her face is a co-star in that movie.
Oh, God.
The second thing about Casino Royale that I think to this day like is just the greatest action sequence is like that whole sequence in, I think it's Jamaica.
The parkour chase?
The parkour chase through the construction site. It was our introduction. Like, if anyone had any doubts about Daniel Craig as Bond at that point, you were fucking, like, slapped in the face.
When he runs through the drywall, I'm like, I'm in for this guy for however long he wants to do it. You know, like
running through the drywall and then parkouring through the elevator shaft, running up the fucking crane thing and like jumping from like the whole
just unbelievable.
There hasn't been
sequence.
like there have been action sequences that are good, but like nothing like that and is inventive.
And I mean, to be fair, that's just the best action sequence in a movie that's full of great, because the cold open in that one's great too, with the two corresponding black and white. So, like, it's just a very clever, well-made movie that has a bunch of you can nitpick complaints about that movie, and we did in a separate podcast episode that you all should check out.
Yes,
but that's a stellar movie, and I think you brought up an interesting point. Eva Green, whose shadow hangs over this entire
series,
Craig era. Yeah. You know, nothing against Léa Seydoux, who plays Madeleine Swan. She is a little young for Craig, but also they just don't have that kind of spark that he has, even the spark that he has, you know, sort of in a less sexual way with Ana de Armas in this. There's certain people that just connect together, and I think they're both great actors, but I just don't get that same kind of spark that I wish I had.
I think Ana de Armas is around for like less than 10 minutes of the film,
and she kind of steals it.
Every moment she's in is like she is just knocking it out of the
Here's
park.
my theory. I think before we see another Bond movie, we're more likely to see a Lashana Lynch or Ana de Armas spinoff.
That's interesting.
And I'm in for it.
Now I know this. I'm sure you guys have read too that the Bond producers, the Broccoli's, are like very protective of the Bond series, and they do not like. They fought nail and tooth to like make sure that this movie got a theatrical release.
But they sold to Amazon, right?
They sold. Well, that's not them. That's not Eon, right? That's
MGM.
Yeah, but I do
MGM,
think I do think Amazon controls the Bond franchise now to a certain extent. I think they still have a lot
I'm sure they're getting offers that Amazon wants it to be like a streaming thing, or they want to do spin-offs and stuff. And there have been talks of that in the past. Halle Berry's character in Die Another Day.
They were really close to doing that.
Yep. And, you know, I don't know if we'll see a spin-off at some point, but I know they're very, you know, concerned.
The fact that they ended this way and they're not going to be, but, you know, they're very protective of it, but at the same time, they also like to crank out these movies. It's money for them, and they don't want to become irrelevant. They're more worried about that. So I think now is the time when they're not going to be able to, like I said, I don't see how they can bring out another Bond movie anytime soon. So I think they're going to have to look at like possible ancillary Bond-esque, you know, Bond-relevant, Bond-adjacent material.
Well, would you be okay with something like that? Are you interested in seeing a Paloma like spin-off movie?
I'm down. Just don't fuck it up. Don't do a bad one.
I like everything I've seen Ana de Armas do, even like just little brief like clips that I've seen on social media and stuff. Like, it all seems good. She seems like one of the peak actresses in the world.
She's young enough that if they started a series with her, she could go for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And honestly, Lashana Lynch in this movie, is that the right? Am I saying it right? Okay.
Yeah.
She was so good. The way she wore those sunglasses when she was just driving in the car.
I love those sunglasses.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. The only problem I had with that was like, so she was sent to go find was Lance Bass or whatever, right?
Yeah, Billy Magnuson is the actor. Logan Ash is the character.
Billy Magnuson is a great actor.
Yeah, I love Billy Magnuson. Yeah.
Oh man, the way he was playing that role, I hated him from the first moment that I saw him. I just hated him so much. And that's the best is when he kills one of the henchmen and you're like satisfied by it.
Yeah.
Because like He does kill like a bunch of these fuckers. There's so many jobbers.
Yeah. Well, I liked him.
There's a lot of jobbers in this one.
Yeah. I mean, we should talk about. We should pick a lane here because we could kind of talk about the Bond girls, or we could talk about the bad. I know we started talking about. We
started with Rami Malek, so why don't we go?
Where
do
you want to go? Yeah,
let's go with him, and then we'll go on to the girls.
So sorry.
Yeah, go.
Here's like my big beef with like the story, the script overall. We know Rami Malek's character has the personal vendetta. It's personal with him because of Madeleine Swan.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that his plan involves, world domination to some degree, but at least jeopardizes basically the entire population of the world, right?
Yeah.
So we have kind of two things going on. There's two types of Bond villains. Ones that it's really personal with Bond, and ones that it's like really personal with they're gonna kill the world, right?
Yeah.
I didn't get the
personal
synergy.
with everyone else in the world.
I didn't get the synergy of it.
You're right. He's being pulled in a dozen different directions because it's revenge against Spectre. That's what he starts off at. That's what turns him into a villain. I got to get revenge against Spectre, and it helps that his family is like
they're already villains.
Poison. Yeah, they're already villain. But he was a boy then, and then he grows up to become a villainous man to get revenge against Spectre, and then he's got the Madeleine Swan thing, which puts him at odds with Bond. But also he's going to blow up the world. But also he doesn't care if the world is destroyed. But also he's selling this thing to the highest bidder, this weapon that he's created. It's like, what the fuck is his actual deal? We never find out.
This is my problem with the script, because like all of those things could be brought together to make a character. The character may be like,
I don't know. I feel like you got to pick one, but or it could be an amalgamation, but not of everything.
Or you have to tell us how they fit together. Yeah. And the script kind of doesn't tell us that.
Yeah, we never know really what his plan is.
What I got, the plan was that, the highest bidder, they were on their way over in boats, right?
Yes.
And that's what was the thing. They had to...
Well, how does that fit into his whole... Because he has that whole conversation with Bond where he's like, we're the same. You try to make the world a better place by killing just one person at a time, and I can kill, tons of them. But he's not actually deploying his weapon to kill specific people that he targets. He's selling this to somebody else to let them do it.
You're going to love and hate what I'm going to say next. I got to reference Moonraker. His whole plan is to take a bunch of people up to the spaceship and then do eugenics basically, right?
Yeah.
And so on some level, Safin's plan must be that. He must be selecting who doesn't die.
But if he's
because he has to have some awareness of the fact that if you're just collecting a bunch of DNA and your thing that kills can target DNA, that eventually it'll target all the DNA.
Right.
He has to have some realization
especially
of that.
Especially if it's genetically inherited, where it targets DNA of the children of people whose DNA, any relative.
Exactly. And that's why and again, they're too vague about it, but they're like, oh, this could kill the world. And it's like,
and if his idea was to make the world better by killing specific people, what is he going to do when he sells this weapon to other people? Say, hey, listen, you can only kill these people.
How's he vetting his buyers?
Exactly. It just doesn't. There's a lot of holes in this plot.
There's information left out of the script that would tie everything together, I feel, and
that's what the novelization is for.
I kind of wonder if there was a 5-hour version that they were just like, no, we can't have 8 Safin scenes.
I'm sure. What I don't like I think Safin looks cool. I think he, what he does is iconic in the lore of Bond. He's basically the guy to take him down.
We don't get enough of him either.
We don't get enough of him, and he doesn't have that moment where he freaks out, screaming at someone.
Where's his monologue scene early in the film to really set him up?
Yeah, he doesn't have one until that sit down with Bond later.
I don't like that guy. That's I want to be in the audience in the first or second act, seeing a scene of him basically just talking to himself, and I'm in my chair ooh, I don't like that guy.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I don't like him.
Right.
He makes me mad.
That's the voice that Colin does when he's yelling at his TV screen. I've watched movies with him. It's really annoying. But listen, Rami Malek's a presence. They gave him some cool scars. He has these weird, sort of semi, vaguely Oriental outfits.
Vaguely.
No, it's almost it's like Steven Seagal hand-me-down outfits.
Right.
Yeah.
Not from a movie, but from Steven Seagal's personal life.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed that they didn't reveal that he is Dr. No. That was kind of the rumor for a long time. He dresses like him. He looks same hairstyle.
That would have annoyed the hell out of me if it's just now we're just rebooting old villains.
I would have liked it. I thought they were going to do something where he's like, the people in my town, they call me Dr. No. Or something like that,
Because of the kabuki masks. They're making fun of me, but I allow it.
Yeah. No, he's also doing some cool stuff with like his body and gesture and stuff, like the
Yes,
limping.
yes, like clearly he's damaged.
Kind of
and-
weird,
yeah.
like T-Rex arm movements sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah, which was cool, but also, and of course the classic Bond villain, unplaceable accent.
Right. Yeah.
Gotta have it.
But also like he didn't seem. This is the guy who finally killed James Bond. Every villain in Bond history has been trying this. This is the guy who does it.
No, the British government killed James Bond.
Yeah, but
which makes perfect sense.
The bureaucracy got him.
But I mean, this is like how this is a guy who outsmarts Blofeld and all these other people. By the way, Christoph Waltz. Can we just bury the Christoph Waltz Blofeld and never speak of him again? The most incompetent. Like we've had some really incompetent Blofelds in the past. I'm not saying that all Blofelds have been brilliant geniuses, but this is Bond's arch rival who's supposed to be.
I'll buy you a delicatessen.
Yeah, we've had some bad Blofelds, but this is like one of the dumbest Blofelds. He sucks at his like he has this entire. I see your hand up, Colin. I will call on you in a second. He's got this massive crime syndicate, but he lets his petty feud with his stepbrother like bring him down only because he's such a moron that he can't execute it properly, and he spends all this time photocopying giant pictures of people's faces instead of actually like coming up with a better fucking plan. And then in this movie, he's like this Hannibal Lecter character that's all built up to be some badass, and he's so confident, but his entire Spectre crew gets wiped out by one guy double-crossing him, and then he gets killed in his prison cell when he least expects it by his half-brother. It's like so stupid.
Here's my question. Okay, so they're like, oh yeah, he's been in prison this whole time. He can't hurt us at all. And it's like, well, I was there while he was conducting a Spectre meeting from prison, and we don't know how he did that. And M's like, yeah, we don't know how he did that. And then they go interrogate him, and they're like, wow, we don't know how he did that. And then they're just kind of like, shrug.
Yeah, we never got the answer for that, right?
Oh,
that's a huge
no, he had the
security
bionic
breach.
eye that nobody had noticed, that he had a robot eye in his head.
Wait,
right?
so
But
he's
he
one
only
working.
has one eye anyway.
Yeah.
Well, no, he had the bad eye. Well, because they had taken it out. When Bond meets him, they had discovered the bad eye and they had taken it out. But he had the eye in his head was how he was seeing what the guy could see and communicating with the dude. Was that the eye that was banged up was a fake
they
eye.
show him.
Oh, wasn't that
footage
also
of him.
Cyclops' eye?
No, they had two of them.
that's a separate one.
Yeah, they had two separate, and they say they have this whole thing with.
Oh,
Sean
so
O'Leary-
he's like still logged in.
M sends. Remember, they have Q hacks Blofeld's eye.
But how is he getting Wi-Fi in there?
Yeah, I know exactly. It's all insane. It's all
Like,
insane.
why would you have a prison where you could like piggyback off the Wi-Fi?
Wait, though, I gotta
It's a
say,
prison.
my favorite, like, I don't know if you would call this a retcon, but one of my favorite moments in the movie is like, so obviously from Spectre, the whole like stepbrother plot line is like, people don't like that, right? And-
People, including me.
Yeah. And so, they do address it slightly in this movie, but I love when he kills Logan Ash and he says like
The best.
this line when he says like, come on, like, can you help me, brother? And he's like, I already have a brother. And you think like, oh, that's gonna be it. And then he's like, his name was Felix Leiter, and he like fucking kills him. Yeah. I was like, yes. Oh my God. That's so great.
Yeah, that was good.
For me, the beginning of the fjord chase itself, and then that scene where they're in the woods and it's still a chase, it's still an action scene.
Yeah, it's all one thing for me.
Like that's my favorite section because it's just like the action in the first chase. We saw it all in the trailer.
The Italy
might
chase.
Be, it might be better.
I loved that. I thought it was amazing. I just thought, and to say, Kerry Fukunaga.
Yeah,
I'm never sure. Yeah, I got it right. Okay, I think he's got a real knack for not just knowing where to put a camera to cut an action scene together and and how to cut quickly, but how to move it and how to frame. It's not just where to put it, but exactly the frame that where you can read what's happening in the action. He just does action incredibly well, and we saw that in True Detective. We've seen it in a lot of his other movies. And
what was the Netflix thing with
Beast of No
Jonah Hill?
Nation?
Beast of No Nation?
Jonah Hill. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
I was like the only one who liked it.
Maniac
I
or something?
think Maniac.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I
watched
liked it. And I was like, I watched it and I liked it a lot. And you were like, yeah, it's okay.
I watched the
never
first
finished
episode
it.
and I never finished it. I bailed.
I watched like the first 4 or 5
Oh,
episodes.
man, I loved it.
Yeah.
I want to rewatch it.
But the action in this movie, there isn't a bad action scene. The Lashana Lynch and Daniel Craig storming the bad guy's lair at the end is kind of just, walking around a corner, shoot a guy, walk around a corner, shoot a guy.
It's a little bit
but then
John Wick.
It's a little bit John Wicky, but not even that interesting,
Yeah.
I will say there's a lot of Bond like wide open, just like walking around shooting people.
Yeah, somebody shoots at him and misses. He turns around and shoots a guy.
Stormtrooper shooters
aim.
on the bad guy side.
But that's why that was probably the least impressive. But every other action sequence or chase or anything in this is just like some of the best that we've seen in the franchise. I thought the Italy one was my personal favorite.
Yeah.
But like you said, you love the fjord one. You said you love the stairwell scene at the end. Both good. Those would be like, 1B and 1C for me. Like they're all really good.
The glider thing is cool too. It's like it's almost like you forget that it happens, but like them just like launching in this glider and then like going underwater, and it all looks fucking cool, and like, but it's like you almost forget that it happens by the time they get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fjord chase to me, it's one of those things like there's not a particular moment that stands out. Like, do you remember what's the one where they're in the olive plantation and he's like rolling the car down the hill?
Oh,
and he's like, it's like an old Citron or something, like, or what's it's that yellow ugly car with the crossbow woman. What fucking movie is that? It's Roger Moore.
Is that Moonraker?
That's not Moonraker. No. It's the one with the ice skater girl.
Oh yeah,
it's the other girl.
For Your Eyes Only? No. Ice Skater Girl?
God, why can't I remember?
Fuck,
There's too many movies.
The Lecter. They have the Lecter. That's what they're searching for the whole time.
Yeah,
what is this called?
with the ice skater girl. Yeah, no, I remember that. And she's like way too young for him, and he wouldn't hit on her because Roger Moore was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah,
just like my granddaughter's age.
Yeah, and the worst part of it is when the hockey guys come out and like for some reason someone's working the scoreboard on him murdering these hockey guys or whatever.
Wait, is it View to a Kill?
No,
it's not View to a Kill,
and it's not For Your Eyes Only.
No, because it takes place in Europe.
For Your Eyes Only is
that's when they go to that's when they go to Greece.
Oh yeah,
Greece. It's that one. For Your Eyes Only. It's the Greece one with the guy who eats the pistachios.
Wait, do we even remember? Do we even remember what point you were trying to make with that?
The scene when they're rolling the car down the hill in the olive thing, like it's just kind of like cool, and like they get that thing where like we're in a fjord, and so like the geography, the topography just makes it kind of cool what's going on.
Oh yeah.
But it's better almost.
The car chase was great,
and
it was kind of comical how like two of these cars showed up and he easily destroyed them both. But then it's like, we've got eight more cars, 3 helicopters, one helicopter, 3 motorcycles. They just keep on popping out of nowhere.
But it's like that scene also because it's just like James Bond, whatever car we have. Yeah, I'm
better than these guys. I'm so much better than these guys. Their state of the art vehicles are
like
no
a
match.
2-year-old 4Runner.
Yeah,
whatever. It's a Toyota. It'll run.
All right, we've talked about the villains. We've talked about the girls. Do we want to break down the cold open?
Have we talked about both those things?
We talked about the
villains.
We
talked about some of them. Yeah,
we
didn't really talk about Cyclops, but I really don't have anything good to say about Cyclops. Cyclops is fucking boring. I can't believe he was in 8 scenes of this movie.
Yeah, he barely spoke, right?
But his death is so good.
I kind of wish Billy Magnuson had been like the big second in command or
Billy
something
Magnuson's
like that.
death was great, and Cyclops' death was great.
Like him going up the stairs and like shooting all the people going up the stairs was like, okay, yeah, he's shooting them all and he gets there. But then when he pulls the trick with the gadget, and I was like, that's James Bond right there.
It was just cool that it was a single unbroken shot.
Yeah.
I liked even Safin's death. I thought it was cool. Just very cold.
Like, well, to me that was Craig's performance really pulled that off.
Yes.
Sold it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like fuck you. He didn't even have a one-liner to say.
Mad.
He didn't have a one-liner, which is great. The cold open, longest cold open, has to be the longest cold open I've ever seen. Like the credits came like a half hour into this movie.
I forgot the credits.
Yeah, I feel like I might have checked my watch and been like 25 minutes. Wow, long start to the film.
That whole sequence, like we get the flashback, which was cool. It didn't really bother me. I thought that was pretty neat.
It looked good. I honestly, I feel like that when I was watching it, I was like, I wouldn't be half surprised if this was a flashback that actually was shot to be later in the movie, and they decided to lead with it because it's a weird way to open. With Madeleine Swan's backstory.
This is something where like, if the movie works for you, I think this flashback being at the beginning is like a big part of how it works for you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think
Well,
we're
I
all,
also
I don't
felt
think we're
like-
all scoring it A+.
I felt like it tipped me off to their relationship too much because I understood he saved her when she was a little girl and they have some pre-existing debt.
That's not what I thought. It gave me a lot of anxiety that like whatever he did after he pulled out of the water was like worse.
See,
That's
I
interesting.
the second I saw like her in the house, and I was like, okay, we're seeing Madeleine Swan's backstory. This is how she's related to Safin, and here's Safin, and now he's gonna kill her. But no, he doesn't. And like I thought, like she escapes and she's scarred for life. But then he saves her, and I was like, oh, she's connected to him. They know each other.
You know what I thought of?
He raised her, maybe. I don't know.
What I thought of is The World Is Not Enough, where we find out Electra King has like a really fucked up kind of relationship with the guy Renault or whatever, the bullet head guy. Renault,
something like that.
Renault. It's a good.
I think it's
good,
Renault.
We used to have a Renault hatchback. Okay. I don't know why.
But you're right.
I think my dad bought it in Europe and just shipped it back to the United States. It's very weird.
In not showing what happens after he saves her, it kind of leaves it open-ended. Is she part of it? Did she join up with him?
Well, because of that, the previous movie, it kind of like hints that their relationship could be really fucked up.
Right.
Yeah.
And we know that she had a relationship with her father. It was strained, but she didn't know who he was, and it wasn't like they were strangers.
Yeah, so...
But
I don't know. I was like, I had a little bit of like,
but
see, is this going to a dark place?
I kind of felt like, in retrospect, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the script they had it laid out where we didn't know that she had any relationship with him at all, and then when Bond finds out that there's something up, then we see her past, and we see a flashback later on, which would mean the cold open would have just been straight from end of Spectre, they're off on the road, and then beginning of this one, they're in Italy on their honeymoon kind of situation.
That might have been better.
Right.
Which I think would have... I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to second guess it because I didn't mind it being at the beginning. I just felt like when I was watching it, I was like, this is an odd place to put this in the grand scheme of things, and I would almost bet money that at some point it existed in another spot in the screenplay, and they were like, let's just get out of the way in the open. It was probably bogging things down at some point.
Yeah, because Bond movies aren't particularly, like, they don't really have flashbacks. You know?
Right. You know what I think it is that we don't see Safin talk for like an hour.
Yeah.
So we have to put him in the movie.
Also a Renault thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was introduced way too late, too, to be impactful. Another guy who probably could have been a good villain, good actor, interesting part, and could have been a good villain and wasn't used properly. And I feel the same way about this. I feel like it's not that he was a bad villain. He was just a meh villain. He was a Renault-level villain where I wanted somebody great, I'd actually... This is... Before we went to watch it, I almost said something about this because I was like, we've only seen a couple of locations in the trailers. We'd seen a lot of different stuff, but we'd only seen 4 or 5 locations for a movie this long. I was like, there could be a whole other part of the movie that we're not seeing. And my hope was that they were going to sort of redeem the Blofeld character and maybe make him a puppet master.
Yes.
And make it more interesting. And instead they made him even more of a fucking stupid clown.
Yes.
And it's just so
I
frustrating.
thought going into it, I said to Colleen, I'm like, I bet you that Blofeld, they're going to set him up as like a Hannibal Lecter thing where he's like basically making a cameo, but he's going to be the puppet master.
He becomes the big bad at the end.
Yes.
Yeah. That would have been better, but
Well, my next question was like, if Safin is not the guy to ultimately kill James Bond, what villain would we have liked to have seen be the undoing of James Bond? And is Blofeld the answer?
The Man with the Golden Gun from The Man with the Golden Gun? A movie I believe we all scored very low.
No, in the Craig era. I guess.
Oh, in the Craig era?
I mean, it wouldn't... Listen, none of them... Honestly, the Craig era, I think what happened was...
What was that general guy from Quantum of Solace?
Yeah, I was going to say, the Craig era, it's almost like... I know they got shit for... when Casino Royale came out, I know they got some shit for Le Chiffre not being a better villain, and they were like, oh yeah, he bleeds from his eye, whatever, like that. But I feel like they, instead of being like, oh, sorry guys, we're just gonna do better with these villains, they were like, oh, you want bad villains? We're gonna make Le Chiffre look like the second or third best villain in this entire fucking Craig era. By the end of it, it's basically Javier Bardem was the only really top notch,
compelling.
In the history of the franchise, we've had some great villains, and he's the only one who kind of stacks up in that level. And honestly,
he really sunk his teeth into the villainy.
and in retrospect, Le Chiffre actually doesn't look as bad as like the dudes from Quantum of Solace or the goofy Spectre Blofeld. I think if they had made this Blofeld, if they had brought it back and been like, Blofeld's back, and this time he's not such a fuck up, and Bond killed him, but had to sacrifice himself in the process, I would have been like, okay, his historic arch nemesis, got the better of him, but he ended up saving the day at the end anyways, even at the cost of his own
Yeah,
life.
I think that's the right answer.
That.
Yeah.
But
I know there was some Craig got some flack in his movies. Like he never really like shoots the bad guy dead, right? In Lashif was not killed by him.
Right.
The guy in the second movie, Green, I think his name is.
He blows up, right?
He drops him. He gives him a can of oil and leaves him.
Oh
in the
yeah,
desert.
right.
Yeah,
very passive aggressive.
Yeah, and then in the third movie, it's Javier Bardem.
Skyfall, right?
He throws a knife into his back. Is that how he dies?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
in the church.
He does kill
it's
him,
in the
right?
church.
He does kill him, yeah, but he doesn't like shoot him. It's sort of like a weird.
It's one of those things that it's almost like at the time I was like, would that really kill him?
Yeah. And then in the fourth movie, it's Blofeld,
yeah.
and he doesn't kill him.
Specifically doesn't kill him because
he only kills him accidentally in this movie.
Right.
Like a big dummy.
Accidentally, yeah.
So I guess he finally shoots the bad guy. In
I
this one.
love that not only does he shoot the bad guy, but it's like an intense shooting.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like, he fucking plugs him like 3 times.
Yeah,
or
he's
something,
like,
right?
fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you, exactly.
Yeah, with some, there was some emotion behind that one. Sometimes
I
he's
really
not
dug that.
emotional.
I like that. I felt it. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck him up.
Yeah.
What else?
And
is
now
there?
just go find a cure to this fucking thing. No.
Yeah, exactly. Like Q, you can't do it. Oh, well, not right now. Like, oh, now I'm dead.
But Q, do you remember the smart blood from 2 movies ago?
Can't we just get a transfusion?
Yeah. Want to talk about the gadgets or like?
Yeah, we can talk about the gadget. We do get yet another James Bond fancy watch. It's like an EMP type of thing, kind of.
That's just so good for the exploding eye thing.
I read someone was like, "Why didn't he use the EMP to kill the nanobots?"
Yeah, well, I have questions about
the whole science of the
range
nanobots.
of it is not clear. Like if the EMP works to shut down one door and that causes a chain reaction to break all the doors, okay, fine. I guess then the EMP is still localized, but then it's also localized to where he's holding the guy with the eyeball thing in his arm, and he sets off the EMP. He also has an earpiece.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing. He's talking in his earpiece and doesn't affect the earpiece. And Q said something about it, like it works on any electronics that are hardwired to something. And I was like, I missed it, but I was like, okay, so it's got to be hardwired to some system. But the eyeball clearly isn't hardwired to anything. It's a fucking eyeball.
It's still on the fucking prison Wi-Fi, I guess.
Yeah, very weird, hard to decipher. What other gadgets do we have? We had the plane / submarine / glider / submarine. We had the Aston
cool.
Martin.
The glider thing's cool.
Yeah. The cars in this were fucking hot.
Yeah, the cars
he
are dope.
used the one from View to a Kill.
Yeah.
I was big
great.
into that.
Wait, the what from View to a Kill?
No, not View to a Kill. Sorry, Living Daylights. The Living Daylights car was in this.
Oh, which one was that?
The second car.
one?
The
The
black
one
one,
the one they drive off in at the end.
Or
Yeah.
the dark brown.
Yeah.
Is it black or dark brown?
I think it's black.
It's black.
Yeah, that car looked good.
It was cool.
The one in the beginning is good too. Oh, I love that
That's
car
the
in
car
the
he
beginning.
goes on the like ice lake with in Living Daylights when he's
Oh,
with
right.
the cello girl.
Yeah.
I love that the car in the beginning, the DB5 or
The
whatever,
classic, the classic Aston Martin
has all the buttons like smoke and like
Yep.
Oh, yeah, all
machine
of
gun.
it.
Yeah.
And the
That's-
little,
it's the one he
yeah.
took. It's the one he took Judi Dench to
Skyfall?
Skyfall with, yeah.
I love the bulletproof glass. How the guy's just standing there like,
And
you
how
see that-
long he sits there,
Yeah.
and just is like, and he's just not saying anything,
that's-
and she's screaming, and he's not saying anything.
That's
and
great
it's just
Craig
like,
performance.
It's great
too.
Craig performance
Because he's just really pissed off that like all of this is happening.
Yeah,
and he's just like,
gonna
let him shoot the car for a little bit. I'm mad.
because he's mad at her. He's like he thinks
Yeah.
she betrayed him. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then he's and then he leaps into action, and it's fucking dope. It's so good.
Like, just like spinning around. So
And
great.
the motorcycle, when he gets on the motorcycle and he does the whole ramp up to the, I mean, I just think
It was all in the trailer though, which
It-
pissed me off. I wish we didn't see
That's my biggest problem with it because all of it was fucking awesome, but too much of it was in the trailer.
that's true. It's a valid point. I mean, they had to release so many trailers because this thing has been being teased for a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I did think like seeing how it all plays, because we saw all the individual moments in the trailer. I thought it was kind of fascinating to see how they all played out, in the whole sequence. And honestly, I just thought that sequence was really remarkable. The whole chase from the time the grave blows up to the time he puts her on the train was great. And then we jump right into it. I thought it was real smooth transitions in and out of the titles.
Yeah, let's talk about the titles.
Daniel Kleinman again, who did everything except for Quantum of Solace, I think. All the Craig ones except for Quantum of Solace.
Which is funny because I love the Quantum of Solace one.
It was a good one. Yeah, I think that was the director's. He had his own people that he wanted for that. But I think I might be. I haven't done my research, guys. So if I'm fucking that up, it was. I know there was a different group that did one. I think it was Quantum of Solace. Daniel Kleinman has done most of the Craig ones. I think it was one of his better ones. Not a lot of. It had a little elements of Casino Royale. I think he was trying to incorporate different aspects of a few different ones, but it had like the silhouette fighters from Casino Royale. My favorite thing in the entire thing, the guns that are all like it's almost like a screensaver pattern of guns looping around, and then the guns start firing and they all make a double helix.
The helix. The
double helix.
Cool. I thought the faces thing was kind of cool, like the old printer type of faces.
Yeah,
that was cool too.
But they didn't hold long enough. I would have liked to see them a little longer.
No, I think if they held longer, you'd be like, it's so lame that
they almost
keep
had
doing
to just
that.
glide by.
Yeah.
It was
disagree.
I remember seeing like a rising, like a Japanese like red sun in the background. I was like, Japan is going to factor into this movie.
Yeah, I definitely thought that it was a good, like I'm on record as saying I think Casino Royale is one of the best opening titles ever, and it's definitely my favorite of the Craig era. But this was a really solid, how it transitioned in and out of the live action stuff, but also just great song. Also, we've already talked about that a little bit.
The song is really good.
Yeah.
It wasn't as sexy as the ones from the old days, but
no,
it's still good.
It probably isn't as good as Skyfall, and I don't even know if I like it as much as the Chris Cornell one, but I do think it's but it's more Bondy than the Chris Cornell one, and just very, very solid.
It was good. The Helix thing, I definitely agree on that.
Yeah. Good titles.
What else can we talk about that we haven't? Should we just talk about the
top 4?
Oh, already? Well, before we do that, I have a segment that
already. How deep into this are we?
I've
lost all concept of time.
We're an hour and 20 minutes in.
Oh, that's nothing.
That is nothing. Yeah, we're about halfway through.
The movie itself is 4 hours long.
So we need to do at least a 3-hour podcast.
I have a segment for you guys that I've kept secret from you. Basically, I
know what this is.
I put it out to
not such a secret, I guess.
Yeah, what the fuck? I put it out to fans. And Patreon subscribers and former guests of ours to send in a message if they wanted to let us know, congratulate us on reaching this milestone.
And guess what happened?
What happened?
Tim sends me a message. Did you get that email from Matt?
Yeah.
Like, what? Then he sends me a screenshot, and I'm like, the first paragraph says, "This is a special secret surprise." And he's like, "Oh fuck."
What an asshole! And he didn't even send a fucking message.
Well, I skimmed it.
Little shout out to Tim Kozlenko.
I was laughing my ass off so hard.
Oh, god damn it!
Oh boy.
He did not realize you spoiled it.
Yeah. Just.
All right, so I've got a couple of messages here. I got to play for you guys.
I am excited about this though. Don't get me twisted on that. Don't get it twisted on that.
Yes,
I don't know. Get it twisted on me.
I don't know what people are gonna say, if they're gonna have questions or whatever. But here's the first one. Ready? Hold on.
Hey guys, it's Chris Gill. I'm calling to say you finally made it to the end with No Time to Die. Now, I'm not going to brag that I saw it last year. That would be mean and petty and unnecessary. So I'm just here to celebrate you guys on getting this far. So congrats, and hopefully you all liked it, but it would probably be funnier if you all hated it. Anyway, have a good show. Bye.
Great. That was Chris Gill. He's helped us out as engineer before. He's a Patreon subscriber, good friend of the pod, and he saw this movie like a year ago because he works at IMAX. Yeah, so he was able to see it. What a jerk. That's all I have to say.
You could have told me not to bother killing James Bond.
He's been sitting on James Bond Dies for a long time.
Yeah.
I do not know if I could have done that.
I messaged him immediately. I was like, how the fuck did you sit on this?
I definitely would have texted everyone I knew and been like, James Bond fucking dies. Don't go see it.
He's like, there were times when I forgot that like people haven't seen this movie. Yeah. And I was like talking about it.
Shame about James Bond. Oh, you don't know.
Yeah.
He's like pouring one out at some party. They're like, why are you pouring one out? He's like, for James Bond. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
All right,
No Time to Die. The movie's called No. You don't understand.
This next message is from my brother, who failed to mention that he's my brother in this message. But here we go.
Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time caller. My name's Ryan, and I just wanted to say congratulations on finally getting to the end of the Bond franchise. It's been a long time coming. I wanted to ask if you guys are going to take on another major franchise that has at least 10 movies, like Fast and the Furious, or maybe the Marvel franchise. Yeah, I'd love to hear what's coming up next.
God,
Right, thanks. Bye.
brother's setting us up for pain here.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Will we ever cover a franchise as big as this one?
Well,
I
don't know if there are
wanna
any as
cover
big as
Fast
this
and the
one.
Furious.
What?
I want to cover Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, I think we will do Fast and Furious at some point.
I think the fans want us
Over
to do
my
Marvel,
dead
but
body.
I think the fans want us to do Marvel, but like that's never ending basically at this point.
Honestly, is it? I mean, how many Marvel movies are there? Is it more than Bond?
Almost. There's like 23 or
Yeah,
something.
so look at that. There's not even as many as Bond.
Wow.
Now they have shows that are like
Sad.
canon.
I just finished What If today.
Yeah, was
I
that
haven't-
good?
I said What If and
I saw. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I saw a few of them. They were pretty good.
I like What If because the finale is a two-parter and it wraps everything up. It connects it all.
Okay. So the Watcher does something in the Watcher. Is that what the guy's name is?
Uatu.
The Watu. Anyways,
They don't say his name. They just call him
Oh
the
my God.
Watcher. But
Yeah.
usually the main like Watcher from Marvel Comics, his name is Uatu.
usually the main watcher of Marvel movies is me
Mhm.
when I'm watching them.
Jeffrey Wright is the Watcher. In
That's true.
What If.
Felix,
Felix Leiter.
R.I.P.
Great actor.
R.I.P. the actor. All right, and we've got one more message here.
My wife, my child.
Sorry. This is from our buddy Christian Odlin, who was our guest on Lethal Weapon 2, and one other one more recently. I can't remember what movie it was, though. Oh, I know. Conan.
Conan, yeah.
Yeah. All right, here we
The second Conan.
go. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Here we go.
What's up, fellas? Christian Odland here. Been a part of the podcast a couple of times, and I've loved every second of it. Wouldn't you know, I was sick last time I was on, and right now I have the same damn head cold. Not very cool. But hey, I love you guys. Congratulations on this big milestone. It's a very cool thing. And to all your Norwegian viewers out there, stay put. Don't go anywhere. Dette den beste podcast i hele verden. Stå på, gutter. Have good time, guys. Congratulations, and I can't wait to hear this latest episode.
Great. To all our Norwegian fans.
Yes.
Whatever he said.
Yeah,
Always in this movie.
Yeah, I agree
That's
with
right.
everything he
Yes.
said. And I was sight unseen. I just trust him to speak for us in Norwegian.
He just told them, like, stop listening.
Yeah,
fools.
these guys have real mental problems.
men are dangerous. Call the authorities.
Dude, all I saw was people locked up in the room and they were chained to the walls and they needed help.
All right, do we want to do top 4? Are we ready for that?
We can do top 4.
Is there anything else about this movie that we like haven't?
There's lots else about this movie that we could talk about. But
There was a fade
let's-
to white at some point, right? Was that when he dies?
Yes.
Okay. So he went to heaven, I guess.
Which implies it was all a dream.
Nicely done. Yes.
He's fine. He's fine.
That's how the next movie starts. He just like his eye opens up. He's like,
I'm going back to the theory, the Spectre theory, that when Blofeld drilled into his brain, it gave him brain damage, and then he
Right.
just hallucinated everything after that, including his own death for an entire movie later.
Oh my God. James Bond 26, starring Craig, comes out next year.
All right,
Not really.
who wants to run? Who wants to run top 4?
you can run it.
All right, I will. Let's do Daniel Craig. This will be fast.
You picked Daniel Craig?
Yeah, we've never done him before.
I thought for sure you were going to pick Rami Malek.
Well, we're doing Daniel Craig first. This will be quick.
All right. Casino Royale.
Bing, got it.
Great. Daniel Craig, Knives Out.
No,
Wrong.
Colin, you're going to win this one for sure.
Layer cake?
No, Jesus.
Wrong.
He's giving you a chance. to-
Skyfall.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Quantum of Solace?
Yes.
Quantum of Solace?
Spectre.
Yes.
Wow.
That's our 4.
Yeah.
Done.
It's the 4 Bond movies minus this one that we're doing right now.
Yeah, so it's almost assured that a year from now, this one will be one of the top 4.
Yes.
It'll
probably.
knock Quantum out.
Not Quantum
Yeah.
right out of there.
Yeah.
Quantum. All right, let's do somebody else. Who else?
Rami Malek would
Rami
be
Malek, right?
best.
Rami Malek. Everyone wants to do Rami Malek. Okay, well, let's do Rami
That's
Malek.
on his computer. He's cheating.
I'm not. I'm doing something else for another segment.
Okay.
All right, let's do Rami Malek. There is, okay, well, this is going to be kind of impossible.
There's a show and it's Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot's my guess.
Yes. Good job.
Got it.
And there's also one that you guys won't get, no matter how many clues I give you.
Nope,
So,
I'll
okay.
get it. It's oh my God, why can't I think of the name of it? It's not Band of Brothers. It's the other one. It's about the Pacific. The Pacific. That's what it's called.
No.
Damn it.
Wrong.
He is in that though.
The Bohemian Rhapsody?
Of course.
Got it.
Matt?
2 for 2 over here.
You guys won't get the last
It's
one.
a show or a movie?
A movie.
Ooh.
What do you mean the last one? We've only got 2.
Yes, you've got 2, and you won't get the last one.
Oh, but
Oh,
so
the
one
third
of
one
them.
You'll
might
get
be
this
okay.
one, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh God, what is he in? It's not this movie, is it? No Time to Die?
Is that a guess?
That is my guess.
What kind of lame ass guess is that? It's not this movie, is it? Oh yeah, it's not. Yes, it is this movie.
Yeah!
that's
fuck.
totally cheating though.
All right, give me the hint.
This is a French word for butterfly.
Mariposa? No, that's Spanish word for butterfly. Fuck.
Oh gosh, it's like
Remake of a Steve McQueen movie. That's.
what
I
is
mean,
it? What's the letter that it starts with?
Oh,
An M? Is it M?
No,
Oh,
it's not?
no.
Fuck. I used to know the word for it.
I know it too. Yes, and it looks like something else in English.
Maybe I'm wrong about it being. I thought it was the French word for butterfly, but I could be wrong.
Steve McQueen.
It's a remake of a Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman movie. Does that help? Set
Rain Man.
Set in a prison. It's Tom
Cool
Cruise.
Hand Luke.
Tom Cruise. No, that's Paul Newman.
Fuck.
It's a French word.
It is a French word.
Dirty Dozen.
It's not French or a singular word.
Papillon.
Papillon. That's
Oh.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good one actually.
Okay.
Okay, we got a good top 4 here.
Okay.
Ray Fiennes.
it.
Ooh, that's hard.
That is good.
Am I
It's
I'm first,
hard
right?
and good. Yeah.
Schindler's List?
Yes.
Got it.
I will say the movie that I like with Colin Farrell.
In Bruges?
Yes, In Bruges.
No, and I'm glad because I
Wrong.
don't really like that movie. So
What?
I'm
There's
glad
a
that.
vendetta here.
Yeah. I'm glad that you got that wrong in that guess.
In Bruges is a fine
It's
film.
fine. It's all right.
I don't know why you would pick that for Ray Fiennes though. Like
He's
if we
in
were-
it?
He is in it.
I know he's in it, but like I don't know why that would be in his top 4.
You
would
already
see
said
it-
Schindler's List, and that was my.
the
first
Shillelagh guy from Gangs of New York. That's definitely got to be in his top 4,
yeah,
right?
Brendan Gleeson.
But
yeah, for sure.
Sorry, sorry. I know his real name isn't Shillelagh guy from Gangs of New York.
Although that would be a pretty badass name.
Okay. Harry Potter 2? No, Harry Potter 3. Harry Potter 3.
Can I get a
Order of the
actual
Phoenix?
title?
Something like that.
No, not that.
Fuck.
Um,
It's one of. I bet one of the Potters is in there.
I'm gonna guess it's Deathly Hallows Part 2.
yes,
Yeah.
nice
What?
job. Wow.
Isn't it Hallows?
Hollows.
Oh yeah, we'll take that one away.
Fuck.
Take it away.
Just kidding. All right, he's the lead in these. This is a clue round, so he is the lead in these last 2 films. He is the lead, and they are big starring Ray Fiennes movies.
He did a Shakespeare where he was Hamlet or Macbeth or Hamlet. No, not Hamlet, not Macbeth. This is probably wrong. I don't know. Fuck. Hamlet.
No,
Damn.
Wrong.
I'm gonna say I think this is him, The English Patient.
no, that
that
is
Hugh
him, I
Grant?
think, but it's not right.
Wrong.
Damn.
No. Another clue.
Yes.
How many do we have left? Just one?
2.
Two.
It's another clue.
Yes, another clue.
Okay.
So wait, if Hugh Grant's not in The English Patient, what movie am I thinking of?
4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yes.
I guess that's got to be it.
This movie is directed by a quirky auteur, writer-director.
Everyone's quirky to me.
All
right, I'll pass so you can guess.
Grand Budapest Hotel.
Pretty good clue, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I should have guessed that.
You should have thought harder instead of bad-mouthing my clue.
I know. The first thing we said before we started recording was I was like, Wes Anderson's movie comes out the same weekend as Dune.
You said that right. Yeah, you did.
Fuck.
All right. The last this is the hardest movie, and it is a spy movie based on a John le Carre novel.
Oh, I got it.
The name is Uncle or whatever? No, Tinker Tailor.
the name is Uncle.
Tinker
That's
Tailor.
a good guess, but it's wrong.
Oh, it's
Both
not
of
Tinker
those?
Tailor?
Yeah. Okay.
No, not Tinker Tailor. It turns out John le Carre wrote more than one novel.
That were turned into movies? I don't know.
Yeah. He wrote a few that were turned into movies.
Is Ray Fiennes?
I'll
in
give you a
Tinker
clue. It's
Tailor?
also not The Spy Who Came in from the Cold, or what is the one that Philip Seymour Hoffman did? A Most Interesting Man.
Oh, The Master.
No.
He's in that too, right?
I feel like I'm gonna have to give you phonetic clues on this one.
What year did it come out?
I don't know without looking at my bookshelf. It's probably
Is it
up there
pre
somewhere.
Schindler's List or post?
It is post Schindler's List. Actually, I have it right here. It's 2005.
2005. Okay, I think I'm pretty close in the shelf.
Give us
The Bourne Supremacy.
give us one other actor who's in it, like a top actor,
Okay, one other actor who's in it.
leading role.
Yeah, it's Rachel Weisz.
Oh,
Which is
Constant
nice.
Gardner.
Oh, good job.
Oh, that's a spy movie?
I didn't know that was a John le Carre movie.
I thought that was actually about gardening.
All right, that was a fun top four. I'm glad we got that last one in there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it is time. It's time for us to find out the average of the James Bond series. It's been lingering. It's been looming over.
That means we have to rate this movie.
Yeah, are we ready to do that?
I don't know.
Are we ready to? Do we have anything else to say about it?
Let's think. Anything?
We didn't talk much about the score, which had all the time we did mention all the time in the world, but it had a reference to it. It had like sort of notes of it playing throughout. They really leaned into that song, which I thought was an odd choice since it's not a beloved Bond theme from a movie that was unpopular in its time and is really now only popular among like nerds.
Yeah, which
it's
is
really referential.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I thought it was cool because it's like if you're a super fan like us, like you're gonna get what that song means. But if not, you're gonna just
like,
think
you're
it's
just like, why are they playing this dumb song?
Well, Louis Armstrong was a trumpet guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, trumpets are cool. I'm gonna go on record. I'm gonna go on record right now and say
Hot take. Most people say saxophone. Colin's a trumpet man.
I think trumpets are okay.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I played the trombone, and I think it was pretty cool.
William Riker from the Star Trek Next Generation, he played the trombone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a bone brother.
This podcast.
That's what we call each other. Bone brothers.
This podcast is dying right now.
Yeah, I know. We're falling apart. I apologize to everyone for everything.
Yes.
I would just like to issue a blanket apology for everything in my life.
Agreed. I will also issue.
What else do we usually talk about? We talked about gadgets, the girls. We didn't really talk about that much about Lashana Lynch, and
I mean, she was great. We talked about her sunglasses.
the sunglasses really kind of stole the show there.
Yeah.
I felt like, here's my complaint about Lashana Lynch and Ana de Armas, both of them in this movie, is that they didn't give them enough to do. And honestly, I could make the same complaint about Rami Malek. And I felt like you had really talented people who had a lot of charisma and actually had a lot of chemistry with Craig.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like we just saw them so briefly.
Yeah, I
in
wanted
kind
more
of thankless roles. Yeah.
I wanted more Ana de Armas. I wanted more of Lashana Lynch. Yeah, I wanted more of Rami Malek.
And honestly, like Nomi's the Nomi 007 agent, I felt like I didn't get with that. Like, I know not every character can have an arc, and the movie was very crowded, but I felt like they had they built this competitiveness up with her where she took the 007 thing and she kept on needling him like, does it bother you that I'm 007 and blah, 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 blah. And then later she says on their last mission, she's like, can Bond be 007 in this one? But they hadn't really spent that much time together. I felt like that was kind of unearned and just like.
That wasn't so bad. I kind of touched on this earlier. I didn't like how in the script, basically, she conveniently has to be like just kind of driving around in her car waiting to find a guy who she's already found. Because, like, they show her driving, and she's like, I'm on the tail of this guy.
Yeah.
And then that guy almost kills Bond
Yeah.
With a whole posse.
And she shows up way later.
And she's like, oh, I almost got him.
Whoops. Yeah. Yeah.
Whoops. It was a goof.
Yeah.
It was a goof. He's fine. He's not dead at all. The missiles just like bruised him a little bit. He's fine.
I mean, I think it's possible that the whole treatment that he received with the nano whatevers, they might have made him missile resistant.
Possibly.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Could that be a thing?
It can be.
This currently has a 89% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. I kind of feel like that's going to go down when more people see it.
Where do you think it's going to fall ultimately if we had to rank just the 5 Craig movies? Like, I'd say right now it's Casino Royale, Skyfall, Spectre, Quantum.
Really? Oh, we'll see. We just talked about our scores, and I gave Quantum a point higher than
I'm not
Spectre.
talking about our scores. I'm talking about like the public.
Oh yeah, the public
view.
hates Quantum of Solace for some reason. I will never totally understand it.
I
It's
feel like
actually pretty decent.
I feel like the public might like Skyfall better than Casino Royale, but that's still
That
like
actually
not a big switch.
That might be true. I think they're both very beloved, but I think you might be right. I think the public regards Skyfall a little higher,
That's
although
interesting.
they're wrong on that. But it's it's close. It's close.
They're wrong, and they will be punished.
Yeah, yeah. I think this will rank above Spectre and Quantum of Solace in the public eye.
Right. I think because they kill him, it might find some classic.
Do people want the good guys to die? Because this is like here's my biggest complaint, and this sort of goes back to the tone thing that I was saying before. How there was some very jokey tones, and there was some very like kind of slapsticky moments within the action scenes, which I thought they were great, but there were moments. And
I disagree. What are you talking about?
You know what? If we could watch it again, I could point you out exactly.
I'm going to see it tomorrow, so I'll keep
an eye for like when something happens and somebody does like a double take, or like there was these kind of goofy reactions to stuff that was happening in action scenes, where it was just it was very like.
Can you think of one example?
No, I can't. But it definitely happened multiple, like 3 times where I was like, and I was wondering if this was like a little bit of a Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
She's all over it with the scientist character.
Yes,
every line of dialogue from him is.
And I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I'm not trying to shit on Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I just felt like there was a little bit of a lightness and a flippancy to some of it, which in a movie that wanted us to take it so seriously emotionally with where it was taking this character, it didn't always blend those two. It felt like 2 different movies. It felt like it wanted to be a goofy, fun Bond movie, and then also a really heavy Bond movie. And I don't think you can have it both ways. I think not that you can never, like Casino Royale has jokes in it, but Casino Royale is a more serious movie,
To me, I don't want to say it's heavy-handed, but like, look, not only are you going to kill him, you're going to say he has a kid.
Killed.
What the fuck is a
a
kilt?
Killed.
What the fuck is happening to me?
He's wearing a kilt.
You just know that we're not editing the episode, and you just want to live it up now, Colin. All your gaffes come out.
Okay, all right. So
this is raw, unedited.
This is what Colin normally sounds like, just tripping all over himself.
We usually have to Frankenbite all his dialogue.
All right, so not only do they kill him, he has a kid, and they kill Felix. Like, any one of those things could be like a big thing to put in a Bond movie.
Yep.
But they put them all in there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that's heavy-handed, but like I could see
it's a lot.
A certain audience saying that's heavy-handed.
Fuck you, don't kill James Bond. It's the one thing. It's also the one thing we know about James Bond. It's like his defining characteristic. He doesn't get killed. This is like his blessing and curse. He survives to the end of the movie. I just feel, and my big complaint is, it seemed like it was going to be a fun popcorn send-off, and it has a movie where the hero who we love gets blown up by missiles. It's very hard to walk out of the theater feeling like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah. You can't.
Matt disagrees.
You can't kill James Bond. You just
can't kill James Bond.
That's part of what the emotional weight. That's part of the emotional weight of like, oh, these women that I keep like having love affairs with keep dying. Fuck, that's bad. Because I'm not gonna die.
I'm immune to death. Yeah, I'm just amazed that they had the writers for a lot of these past Bond movies were writing on this. The Broccoli family, Craig, everyone, and none of them were like, wait, we can't kill James Bond.
I'm sure they had this conversation.
No. See, that's the thing is like
and cooler heads did not prevail.
I think they thought they had to from the beginning. They were like, we have to do something. We have to make the Craig era special. We have
him retiring and going to raise his child would have been pretty special to me.
I would have liked that too. Yeah, like
what's crazy to me is that the Spectre, the way that ended, like you could end the Craig era right there.
Yeah, right.
He drives off into the sunset with the
Spectre.
girl. Yeah. He killed Spectre, exactly.
And like honestly, like
He was there when Spectre was killed. He witnessed Spectre getting killed.
Yeah.
where we started with this is impossible for the three of us because there are so many fans out there that are just Craig era fans, and we are very much not that. Like we are Craig era fans.
We're Bond
but
fans though.
Yeah,
and
we're
Craig
Bond
is
fans.
Craig is my favorite Bond, and it's I think it probably is my favorite era, I guess, even though only 2 of the movies were great and the rest of them were okay.
But he didn't wear clown makeup in any of
Exactly. It's I mean,
What
it's
were
a
they
really,
thinking?
them. The fuck? What the absolute fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very. I'm curious to see how this audience score goes as more people watch it, because I do think there's going to be a certain amount of backlash, because it just is. Just in my mind, it's just an inherently dumb decision for this character.
I think it should have been. I think they caught themselves in the middle of Iron Man and Batman in our zeitgeist, and they went Iron Man
And
when they should have gone Batman.
Yeah. I would have loved this movie so much more if it had the Batman ending.
I have to say, like, right at that moment when the missiles were coming, like, I was fully expecting something to save him at the
because
last
he always
second.
lives.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we know.
Yeah.
He's never died before.
I was like, who's it gonna be? Lashana Lynch? She's gonna fly in on the glider, like scoop him up or
Yeah.
something. But then, like, I mean, yeah, he really fucked him with that, like, poison. You know, like,
Yeah,
even
but-
if he did get saved,
But there's science. There's
we would
research.
be
This
so
is new
pissed
technology.
off. We would be so pissed off if, like, Q was like, I invented this cure, that, you know, that will save you.
Or after he gets blown up, Q's like, "Oh shit, no, you know,
I forgot to carry the 3.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool.
It's just one division problem.
Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of the thing. It's like, save yourself, go get quarantined, but they do clearly. They wanted this to happen this way, and so it happened this way, and I feel cheated and disappointed. This honestly would have easily been, I guess we should just go into our final thing.
Yeah.
So for me, I think I gave Casino Royale 10. I gave Skyfall an 8, shockingly, which really should be a 9. And if we're changing them, I will.
Yeah, we can
yeah.
change one score.
And I will, because
franchise.
Skyfall is too good to just be an 8.
Well, wait, let me affect that right now. Skyfall, you're changing Skyfall from an 8 to a
9.
Okay.
And Quantum of Solace, I think, is better than people think. And Spectre is a goofy embarrassment, but also had its entertaining moments. I didn't like the opening sequence. There's a lot to like about Spectre. It was just, Blofeld was dumb, Spectre was dumb.
Thing is so good.
Yeah, the Day of the Dead thing is great. This movie is sort of similar. Is like, I thought there was some goofy, stupid shit in it. But I also thought there was some fucking amazing stuff in it. And the action sequences, every action sequence was brilliant. And I liked it so much. It was like Spectre, but less dumb and more good, So I think I gave Spectre a 5. I would have easily given this a 7 and put it above Quantum of Solace and Spectre. And because they killed James Bond at the end, which I just feel like was wrong and a bad decision on so many levels, I got to knock it down to a 5.
Wow.
I knew it. I said, what did I say? In between 3 and 5.5.
Yeah.
That's like
It's
exactly what he
just-
did.
A 5.
It's just not, it hurts my soul that they made a movie that was this good and this enjoyable, and then they fucking blew the ending. They just blew the ending. Every time I watch this, I'm going to have to turn it off before the missiles hit.
It's you have to give it is bold.
Yeah.
It's a bold decision.
You have to acknowledge that.
And if you're some art house director making your little indie film, go ahead and make bold decisions. If you're making a fucking popcorn $1 billion blockbuster that's supposed to be a fucking crowd pleaser, please me, for Christ's sake.
I was pleased. And I think, we've already talked about how bold it was, but like, that's what makes Bond, or that's why I want Bond to stand alone amongst all these other franchises. Like, it's not a fucking Marvel movie. Like, make it cool, make it different. I applaud it. I think it's great. But
Are you doing your score?
I guess so. I'll do my score. All right. I enjoyed this movie, but my thing is, like, I always have to watch a movie 2 times, especially a movie like this. Like, the first time I'm there just to, like...
Are you about to tell us you're not going to give it a score?
Yeah, no. Just question mark is my score. No, the first time I generally am just like enjoying the ride, and then the second time is when I really start to like look into things, And so I'm seeing it again tomorrow. I wish I had been able to see it a second time to really talk about it, but sitting here talking with you, gentlemen.
We all have the same disadvantage.
That is true.
Okay.
But sitting here talking about it with you guys like has really it has helped me see a lot of things that I was kind of stewing on. But I enjoyed this movie a lot. I don't think it was my favorite of the Craig era. I think him dying is bold, but it didn't bother me as much as it did Harris. Because I said earlier that the way it was executed was with a lot of grace and skill, and I think it was done in a way that pleased me as a viewer of stories and like arcs and stuff, and like I think everything fell into its right place, and I think it was done perfectly. Having said that, I think this movie, in a lot of ways, the set pieces and stuff are not as memorable as a lot of the set pieces from the earlier movies, and I think its length, it felt, it didn't feel bloated to me. Like watching it, it moves at a clip.
It
and
moved
it's
pretty
like,
quick. I was never checking my watch.
No, me neither. But it was long. I don't know. I feel this is where I feel like I really need to see it again to really hone in on what I'm feeling. But for me, I liked it a lot. There was nothing that I was like, oh, I can't believe this, or like rolled my eyes or whatever. But I did feel that it is not my favorite, and I would still prefer, if I was given the choice right now to watch any, Craig era movie, I would pick maybe Casino Royale is still my favorite. So now looking at my scores, I gave Casino Royale a 10, but I also gave Spectre inexplicably a 9.
You just love
cool.
I think I'm going to make a score change. I think I'm going to drop my Spectre down to an 8.
I applaud it.
And I'm going to give this movie a 9 to me.
Colin probably talked you into giving a Spectre a higher score. I can't remember that.
I put in all that work.
I've actually been trying, because we could only watch this one once. I've really been thinking a lot about that, and like, how am I getting put off that much by this one decision? And I just think it's an inexplicable creative choice that I know that time will probably soften that wound for me a little, and I'll like this more and feel more sympathetic towards it. But it doesn't change the fact that it was a bad decision that kind of ruined the totality of the movie for me.
I'm trying not to think about it, and now I'm going to try to talk about how I'm not thinking. This. Oftentimes we do this show, and I end up agreeing with both of you, and you both think that I'm not agreeing with anyone who ever lived. Which is an interesting phenomenon.
What?
Because like I think parts of what each of you think, but I'm still my own thing. So
you are definitely that.
Yeah. So there's that. That's the best way to explain it. Anyways, yeah. So I also have a problem with the fact that they killed him. But it's more about like I think the script could have been better story-wise, maybe not dialogue-wise. I didn't think the scientist guy was like, I mean, it was kind of funny what he was doing and stuff. Like I got what the character was and everything.
Sidebar, he had a cool death too.
What was his death?
She said, "Time to die," and she kicked him off the rail into the water.
Yeah.
It's the name of the movie.
Into the poison goo.
Almost.
Into the poison slop.
The poison goo.
She easily, I bet you they had it written where she was like, "No, comma, time to die." Like she was responding to something he said. And they were like,
he was. I kind of liked the scientist guy, but he was kind of an annoying character too. I didn't mind seeing him kicked into the goo.
Right, you were happy when that happened.
I didn't get his motivation in the end.
Yeah,
because he like clearly at the very end we find out, well, he's just pretty fucking racist, so we gotta kill him.
Yeah,
but scene one, I didn't get like, oh, this guy's a racist. I got like, maybe this guy is, conflicted about what he's doing.
It's sort of what you said. The screenplay was kind of a mess. A lot of the nuance, nitty gritty of the screenplay was kind of all over the place. We didn't really know motivations, and
I hate doing that because like I think we've all said we appreciate Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah,
that's her name, right?
I took that as a reveal, that him revealing I could wipe your race off the planet is sort of like why he got involved with these people and why he's getting this DNA, like,
why he's so fascinated by the weapon.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
And it wasn't, we should point out that this isn't all Phoebe Waller-Bridge. It was mostly written by Neil Purvis and Robert Wade,
who have been with the series since World Is Not Enough.
They're the longtime writers. And then Cary Fukunaga also has a screenwriting credit. And then she
four,
was
4 screenwriters.
And she
Four,
was
yeah.
she was
Oh, that
brought in.
always works.
She was brought in. Yeah, she was brought in. She was, I think, brought in to do script doctoring at the end. So
Cary Fukunaga is the first American to direct a Bond film, and he's also the first director to also get a writing credit on a Bond film.
and the first director of Asian descent to direct a Bond.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Okay. All right. Back to whatever I was talking about.
Well, that was our
God
show,
only
everyone.
knows.
No, I didn't like that they killed him in the end, but my biggest problem with it is, and why it feels heavy-handed, is it feels like a decision made before everything else was written. You know?
yeah.
Because I still am really, I have to harp on again, with the villain of this movie, I see that he has basically 2 different things going on, sort of like his overall evil plan and a personal vendetta. And I didn't get the synergy, and I didn't get specifics about how his evil plan was going to end up being like an imminent threat, even though it's obvious that the virus or whatever, what is the weapon called? The Heracles.
Yeah,
It's obvious that is an imminent threat, like a very, very bad thing.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that he is mass producing it, which is really bad. Like, I don't want to take away too much from what the script does. It does still tell the story, but to bring it all together, to bring that finality in where you're gonna say this is the end of James, this iteration of James Bond is totally over, then I really want to see like what he came up against that made it so final. And this villain, we don't get enough of what this villain really is, and because of that, it's kind of a more of a suicidal tone to it. Like, yes, he's sacrificing himself to save this woman and save the world, but like it still seems really like his choice to die then, and that's kind of what I don't like about the death of James Bond.
Because we knew that he was willing to sacrifice. He's been willing to sacrifice himself to save strangers in movie after movie. So why wouldn't he save his daughter? Of course he's going to do it. You know, it takes a lot of the drama out of that decision.
And the scene, the final scene between him and Safin is good because we do get that realization that he can't ever touch this woman again because that will kill her.
I would have liked that ending where it's like you can live, but you can never see these people again. That would have been a good ending too, where he gets to survive, but he's got to go off to some other part of the world and can never see.
And that's very James
interesting.
Bond.
Yeah.
That's very
that
in
would
the
be
tone
very
of this James Bond.
Yes, exactly.
It's like he
Still
does love
cursed.
these women,
Still
but some of
cursed.
them he can't be with.
Yep.
He could carry on a phone conversation with them.
You could FaceTime with them. There are so many.
FaceTime.
There are so many other ways to end this movie that would have been better for me.
Honestly, but that with the audience that this movie's coming to, that kind of works. It's like, oh my God, like he can't ever touch her again. And we just went through this year of not being able to like get anywhere near other people again. And like, so, and that's part of what is ultimately going to work about this movie. The people who like it are going to be like, oh yeah, he can't ever touch her again. He probably wants to die. But for me, I think there's an affirmation of life with James Bond, especially with the eulogy. It's just like, if I'm out here living, I'm gonna fucking live.
Yeah.
That's a paraphrase, obviously.
M got everyone together. It's like, let's just fucking live, man.
Hey man, you remember when James Bond was like, we out here living, we just gonna fucking live. And they were
Rock
like,
and roll,
yeah.
baby. And we were like, yeah, James.
It's like not the tone of that scene at all.
I like the part when M pulled out the guitar and he was like,
I think it was the fact they decided to set it in a biker bar in Alabama was like a weird choice, but they all played to
they
that.
had to stop throwing darts in order to like gather around and listen.
So good.
M, you got something to say? Say it, brother.
Say it, brother. Fuck, I'm really way off the rails now. But yeah, it's just like, okay, fuck.
No, I think you would.
Really
I think you would
derailed me.
come to your. I think you got the
yeah.
gist of it across.
Yeah. So I just don't like that he's sort of choosing to die when it's James Bond and
He chooses
James Bond
life.
can't.
Yeah.
The one, what you said. The one thing we know about this guy is like he kind of
doesn't
can't die. Which is like it's funny, and that makes the whole thing less grounded, and we want a little more grounding to like grounding the story more gives it weight. But if it's less grounded, it's more the character we know.
Yeah.
And I think That sucks. What doesn't work about it to me is that the script doesn't give us a villain that really gets the better of him enough to where he has to die, to me.
Yeah.
And
it ended up being his choice, and it was a weird...
Yeah, I think if the villain was Blofeld, and it would have felt a little more personal and a little more.
If we had some more scenes in the beginning that really set up who Safin is, and some more scenes in the end that really show that Safin is like a stronger villain. Yeah. In some way.
We've come up with 3 different endings. Blofeld kills him. He doesn't die, but he can't see his family again. Or he doesn't die and he gets to live happily ever after. That all would have been vastly, for me, every one of those endings would have been like, okay, to, hey, this movie's great. It like literally would have swung it from a 5 to a 7 or 8, depending on which one you chose.
Would have
which
worked
is
with
just amazing
audiences.
that he picked my least favorite possibility of any possibilities.
I have to commend.
I don't
want
to just shit on it either. You know.
Yeah, no, I feel like I've shit on it a lot. I actually did enjoy the movie. It's got a lot of good merit. The boldness only goes so far. It's actually got to be the right choice for the boldness to pay off for me.
So
anyways,
right now,
Colin,
I'm teetering back and forth between like a 6 and a 7 because obviously I'm still gonna give it like a good score, even though I'm criticizing it pretty hard. So wait, what you did 5 and you did what?
9.
9?
I know, right?
How did I miss it too? I just didn't even realize it.
If we talk to him a couple of years from now, he's gonna look at the score and he's gonna be like, "I gave it a 9. What the fuck?
That's high."
But he gave Spectre a 9 too, right?
Yeah, but you know what? You guys gave it a fucking.
But honestly, the parts of this movie that are a James Bond movie to me are like excellent, and the cinematography, set design, all that. I'm gonna do 7. I'll do 7. It's just
all right.
It's a lot like Spectre to me, where I had the experience of like I'm loving this through the first 2 acts, and like it gets out of control by the 3rd one.
Yeah. It didn't stick the landing.
I stand firm in my belief that while the death of James Bond is shocking, I think this movie delivered it in a way that is fitting and was done perfectly. They executed it really well.
I almost feel like the shockingness is part of why they wanted to do it. Is like, oh, we're gonna kill James Bond. It's gonna be so rad, and everyone's gonna talk about it. And
I don't like that feeling.
It's so annoying.
I don't know. I feel
I don't think they did it perfectly. I think they fucked it up in a lot of ways. Like Colin said, it was the fact that they made it like less him sacrificing himself in some necessity to more him choosing to die over choosing to try to figure out how to work this out.
No, there is no way for him to work it out. He's got a disease. Not only
I know Q has thought about it for 30 seconds and has concluded scientifically that it's impossible to.
I don't want to take away from the validity of what you like. I just was trying to explain. Yeah, to me, it doesn't work perfectly. And
plus they are orchestrating all this stuff to make it work the way they want it to work, which I feel the puppet strings of them trying to make it work perfectly.
Yeah,
and
a human wrote a movie, of course.
But the best ones are when it works perfectly. I don't see that somebody is retroactively trying to figure out how to get to the end to where they are. And this one, it definitely felt like that to me, that they were trying to figure out how to make a way for them to justify killing James Bond, and it didn't work for me.
I agree that it could have had a more impactful personal punch, and I think Blofeld is the answer to that. Yep. I guess what I'm saying is I would have preferred to have Blofeld be the big bad of this.
Sure.
Yeah. But having said that, I was pretty satisfied with the movie.
Still almost perfect for you.
Yeah. So there you go. So let's
also what we were talking about. Some movies can exist in a space where someone wrote what they're saying, and some movies cannot. You have to feel like this character is existing in its own.
So what did you give it? A 7 or an 8?
Yeah, 7.
Okay.
He's trying to interest you. 7 or an 8? Did you say 8?
He said 8. I never said 8.
Was it a 10? It was a 10.
8.5? This is a 9, right? 9.5.
You say you want a new scale that goes above 10? I think you said that.
All right. Well, you guys talk amongst yourselves. Well, I got to do some math here.
I love this part of the thing where we just get put on the spot. I can say stupid bullshit about James Bond movies forever until he's like, I got to do some math. Go talk amongst yourselves.
Do you want to hear about the haunted house interactive theater experience thing?
Oh God,
You don't?
Is there another topic? Let's see. Is there something else going on with the Bond?
I find it weird that I told you I went to something like that, and you didn't even say like that's cool.
I didn't even follow up with like, oh yeah, really? Tell me more.
Yeah.
It's like
It was super fun and interesting.
I don't know. So I mean, I guess I'll take your word for it.
All right, guys, I'm done.
Okay.
The math is quick. So even with our score changes and our new movie that we're ranking here, it did not really change it enough to warrant an average change. The previous average was a 6.46, and now it's a 6.48.
What movie are we talking about?
This is the entire series.
Oh, okay.
The average is less than 7?
Yeah, because you guys didn't give this movie
guys
a
are
high enough
mean.
score.
No,
it's
no. It's really Octopussy's fault, if anything.
Yeah.
Both of our score changes, Harris changed Skyfall from from a 10 to a 9. Or an 8 to a 9.
8 to a 9.
Yeah, that didn't change the average. It kept the average exactly the same as a 9.
Sure.
And then my score change of Spectre from a 9 to an 8 didn't change the average at all.
I've got a question about this. Do we factor in the non-canon movies here?
We do.
Because that, I think, is a mistake, because Casino Royale fucking sucks. The 61 version.
We didn't get above a 4 on that.
That's interesting. All right, so do we want to do a version where we don't include the non-canons?
I think we should take out Casino Royale, and what is the other one? Never Say Never Again.
Yeah, all right. I
think
do
we
that.
should, see what it's like without those. Because I think, as bad as some of the Roger Moore movies are, there's always a couple of duds in every, and especially Pierce Brosnan has like No Time or Die Another Day.
Yeah, that's the Madonna song.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're considering them like bonus episodes, like they don't factor into the overall.
they're not Eon movies. So I think if you're looking at Eon as like the Broccoli family as like the quality control of this franchise, it's not like they're perfect, but
all right, if we knock those two movies out, the average becomes 6.68, which does round up to a 7. So that's
okay.
That's 7.
That's a 007.
That's a 007. Okay.
Fuck.
Perfect.
All right.
And honestly, if you want to blame the scores being low on anyone, it's not
Colin's
me.
absolving himself.
It's not me.
Well, that's true. And if you want to blame the scores being low on anyone, I know you're both looking and pointing at me right now. I would blame
Moonraker is a classic.
I would blame the people who made Moonraker or Octopussy. I would blame the people who made Die Another Day. It's not my fault that those movies fucking suck.
Let's reflect on some of Harris's scores here.
Oh, yes.
No Time to Die. Clearly a great movie, like put together in a really great way. Like a 5. This is not a fucking 5 movie. Like maybe it's a 7 or an 8 or a 9.
They killed James Bond in a dumb way. But, other than that, it was perfect.
All right. Octopussy, he gave a 2. Pretty harsh.
Pretty spot on.
Okay,
he wore clown makeup. Anybody who watches him trying to defuse a bomb like a fucking lunatic
How could you
with
give
clown makeup on?
Octopussy a 2, but Die Another Day a 4? It doesn't make logical sense.
Die Another Day has that great fencing scene.
The fencing scene. That's the scene with Madonna in it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I would argue that on Her Majesty's Secret Service, you gave a 5, but so did me and Colin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that's generous. I was being nice to that one.
You gave Thunderball
the slowest Bond movie. And it was the only Bond movie that actually was more than 5 hours long without actually having a 5-hour runtime.
You gave it a 4. Pretty low.
Long submarine.
You definitely
scenes.
skew low here. Oh,
I skew accurately. You guys both skew jerking off James Bond into your faces.
General audiences have more of a scuba fetish than you think.
Yeah. I'm not trying to predict what general audiences love, Colin. I'm trying to predict what's good.
Tomorrow Never Dies a 2? That's harsh.
Oh, what?
That is harsh. That was just because you guys gave Tomorrow Never Dies like some ridiculously high scores.
That's wrong.
So you're saying you just tried to like knock the average down just based on our
to where it should be. Yes,
that's
exactly
fucked up.
what
So
I
you're
did.
not giving it a true score of like what you thought of the movie.
You're not going against the movie. You're
Hey,
going
listen.
against us.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen. I could have. My accurate score would have only probably been like a 4 or something. So it's not a great movie. I went low, but it's because you guys were way too enamored with that movie. That wasn't that good. It was a mediocre James Bond movie.
Elliot Carver
you guys
is a great Bond villain.
He is not. He is not. And neither
stand by it.
is Ricky Jay. God bless him. R.I.P.
Harris, you forgot the number 1 rule of ranking Bond movies. Give the people what they want.
You forgot the number 1 rule of making Bond movies. Don't kill James Bond.
Give the people what they want. Was Tomorrow Never Dies one of the 3 movies that we revisited? No, it was On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
They were all older ones.
Moonraker. And what was the third one?
Oh, wait, maybe it was.
Thunderball? No, not Thunderball.
It was a newer one, wasn't it?
It was...
Maybe one of the Timothy Dalton ones?
No, because there's only 2 of those. I would have remembered watching one of those twice.
It was the other one.
Matt, this is just dead air. You're going to have to edit.
This is dead air. No, I'm
The thing I remember about the
By the way, guys, the podcast is pretty much over. We're just shooting the shit now.
Was it Diamonds Are
listening
Forever?
or else?
Was it Diamonds Are Forever?
No. I think it might have been Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh, the one we revisited?
Yeah.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, that. And, it was From Russia with Love was the other one.
Oh, yeah. A movie that I liked and you guys didn't because you guys have poor taste in Bond movies.
Well, I liked Living Daylights better than License to Kill, and you guys both were against that.
You know what? I read this interesting article by some insane person the other day.
Yes.
That said that every single Bond has gone out on a terrible movie, and that this was Daniel Craig. Maybe he could break the curse of James Bond going out on their worst movies as their last movies. And I was like, wait a minute. Timothy Dalton's second and last movie was better than his first. And also, Diamonds Are Forever was not Connery's worst. It was goofy and stupid, but it was fun.
Well, it was his worst then. I think that was his worst.
Thunderball.
Oh, Thunderball.
Yeah, Thunderball. I mean, totally true for... and also, Roger Moore went on A View to a Kill. Not his best, but certainly not his worst. He made...
Definitely his worst.
Octopussy.
Octopussy's worse.
Octopussy's worse.
I don't know.
Octopussy's fucking
I gave View
terrible.
to a Kill like a 1 or 2 or something.
Chris Walken redeems that movie, and so does Grace Jones.
I would argue to say that the Craig era movies have like a similar Star Trek thing going on, where every other movie is great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait,
well, I wouldn't say
Casino's
this.
great,
I wouldn't say this
Quantum's
one's
bad. Skyfall's good. Spectre's bad. This one's good. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. This one is.
You would.
This
lump
one could have
this-
been great. It was very close to being great.
I still think it's crazy that we were sitting next to each other in the theater, and like our viewpoints are kind of vastly different, right?
Wait, you didn't say anything afterwards? You just like walked away from each other?
Harris was like, "I gotta go back to work. Bye."
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to save it for this moment where
Yeah,
we
nice.
realized that
Yeah.
Matt has no idea what he's talking about.
Hold on, I'm still lambasting.
Doing a personal attack for no reason over here.
I'm still lambasting Harris's
Lobbing grenades.
ridiculous scores here. Let's see. What else do we have? I know
I mean, if the people want an accurate assessment of James Bond movies, they will look at my scores.
you gave Moonraker a 3.
Oh, Moonraker's so dumb.
God.
It's so dumb.
And Colin gave it a 9, and I gave it an 8.
Yeah, and I probably should have gone lower. I probably didn't give my score first, and I would have lowered it had I known that you guys were gonna.
That's not
be
fair.
so far
you can't
off.
give your score based on what our scores are.
I'm trying to make our collective scores more accurate, Colin.
But why?
When you give a movie that's as dumb as Moonraker at 9, it forces me. That's a perfect score for you. You think Moonraker is a perfect movie. It ruins the greatest villain in the franchise. It has.
What do you mean? Jaws has a love interest in the end.
It's such a dumb movie.
So, yeah, the Star Trek franchise, we're saying that averages out better than the James Bond franchise. Does that track?
Well, not because of my scores.
I don't know.
Mission
I
Impossible
don't
is
know how that happened.
still unbeaten.
Yep.
I was thinking for...
Although isn't Aliens gonna?
we're not quite done with Aliens
Yeah, but
yet.
Alien is probably gonna.
Yeah,
Beat
Alien
Mission Impossible?
Could
Alien's
come
gonna
on.
beat most of the ones we've done already.
It could eclipse it, yeah.
It's pretty close.
I think we should do next year, next season. Every year is a new season. I don't know if you guys know that.
Ugh. How many seasons?
I think we should do a segment.
When
we
are we
should
gonna start saying sleason to be like to like add spice to it?
I think next year, each one of us and one of our choices should pick a contender for what we think is the best movie franchise. Like really try to champion something.
That is really not the direction.
I
was
feel
going
like
next. I was still thinking about Legally Blonde.
I mean, that was kind of what I did with Mission Impossible, and I feel like I'm winning this thing.
You
know?
are
Like,
winning. If that's
I
your.
don't want to win that.
Actually, Matt, you got to step it up because yours have historically, if we don't count Bond as one of yours, which I think it's fair not to.
I think it's fair too.
Yeah,
I was the one who called you guys. I was like, "Do you want to be on a
all
podcast?"
of your other ones have been pretty bad. They've been like one great movie and then just a bunch of turds.
Well, what did I know we've discussed this already. What did I pick besides Exorcist?
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, and then
Mortal Kombat, Exorcist,
Jaws.
and Jaws.
Yeah.
yeah, I pick them based on insanity.
Based on one good movie and a lot of comedy.
All right. So, is there anything else? Oh, here. You guys discuss something. I just want to do one more thing here.
So how's it going?
So
So tell me about this interactive.
It was fucking cool.
All right, what is it? It's like a escape room crossed with
Like imagine theater.
how much nudity was involved? Because I love live theater,
0.
but only if the
You only love live theater.
Yeah, I just go to hair revivals. I'm just like, are they doing hair again?
There's nudity in hair.
Yeah.
Oh, is it pubic hair?
Yes, it's all yeah. Now they've got to have merkins for everybody. It's very expensive. That's why they don't do
The merkin budget on my
yeah.
hair production is through the roof.
This is the kind of thing you see. You go to like certain New York downtown bars near Broadway.
Overheard
like,
New York.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't believe the merkin budget on my production of hair.
Have you?
Why does he talk like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't because a big shot Broadway producer.
This is my impression of a New York big shot producer.
Wait, have you seen Only Murders?
I talk like this.
Have you seen Only Murders in the Building?
No, I'm familiar with what it is.
It's really good, and complaining about the merkin budget on your revival of Hair would be like a perfect Martin Short. Like that's his character is like a Broadway producer, and he's always saying random shit, kind of like that.
Yes,
so it's very enjoyable. My only thing that I hate about it is I started watching before I realized that it was only coming out weekly, so now I've got to wait every week to see new episodes, and it's driving me fucking crazy. It's a really good show.
I had a conversation, I think it was last week or something, with someone. I can't even remember who it
Maybe
is.
me.
And they were like, I love Steve Martin. And I was like, so you've seen The Jerk? And they were like, no, what's that? And I was like, what the fuck is happening right now?
No, I like him as a novelist and playwright.
Okay.
Yeah. I really love Shop Girl. That's what my Steve Martin take is. I don't. He does comedy now. That's weird.
I could see someone being like I only know him from Little Shop of Horrors or something.
I only know him from being on a poster with an arrow through his head. Does he do other things?
That's
I thought he was
the
just
exact movie.
I thought he was just an arrow through his head model.
all right.
I would love that gig.
Here we go. Ready? So I have an official list of like the order of greatness for these movies, right? So we've got Casino Royale. We all gave that basically a 10.
Mm-hmm.
It averages out to like a 10. So it's Casino Royale. GoldenEye is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Skyfall's number 3.
Yes, we're brilliant.
Spy Who Loved Me is number 4.
We really are sharp.
Goldfinger's number 5.
Yes.
Live and Let Die is number 6.
Not bad.
World Is Not Enough is number 7. That's interesting.
Weird.
That is
but weird, but I don't hate it.
Quantum of Solace is next after that.
That's fucking bizarre.
Wait, what?
That's inexplicable. But
Are we in the top 10 of all the Bond movies?
We're in the top 10.
Quantum made it?
I love Quantum,
3,
but
4,
not that much.
7. It's
Quantum.
number 8. Number 9 is
Interesting.
Oh, you know what? Hold on, I have to update Spectre
Oh, something's gone wrong.
because I changed my score. I didn't change it on this thing. So what did I change it to? An 8. Oh yeah, this is gonna bump it. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, thank God Spectre's dropping because Quantum in the top 10. Quantum's like a mediocre movie. It had ambitions.
Quantum would be so much better without the brown face. I'm sorry. Like that's what really kills it for me.
Yes. And with a better villain, because that's another one where like the little French guy with the axe doesn't really do it for me, and the weird general guy is also kind of not memorable.
Or
but
maybe
like
if the henchmen would have been better.
Yeah.
No, the henchmen were good.
The henchmen were good.
Style-wise.
That's why it's not bad. It has people shit on that movie a little too much. It's not as bad as people think.
The brown face really kills
What was the
Yeah.
score that you changed? What movie?
I changed Skyfall. I bumped it up 1 to 9.
From an 8 to a 9.
Yeah. But it's already second, right? No, it's our third, so it might actually affect it, right? But it's not going to bump Quantum out. Quantum's still going to be in the top 10. What I kind of wonder is what are all those other, like The Spy Who Loved Me? No, The Spy Who Loved Me is in there. But what about like...
did we go past the Dalton one yet? A Dalton one?
Yeah, because I was going to
Quantum?
say, I think License to Kill should have been up there.
Whoa.
Yeah, but this
Check
is the big
this
problem
out.
with the three of us's take on the Dalton era is that I like one and you guys like the other.
This is the problem. So, okay. So now with the score changes in play here, Casino Royale still number one. It had a total score of 29 points, that if you add up our scores. GoldenEye is now tied for second with Skyfall.
I don't hate that.
It's the exact same thing. Two of us gave it a 9 and one of us gave it a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you have Spy Who Loved Me is third, I guess, now.
Yep.
Goldfinger's fourth. Live and Let Die is fifth. World Is Not Enough is sixth. Quantum of Solace is seventh. Spectre is eighth. Then License to Kill is ninth. Hurt the most by Colin's score. Colin only gave License to Kill
Literally
at
what we were
6th.
just talking about before you started talking.
Yeah.
That he likes the other one. He likes, what's it called?
Living Daylights.
Living Daylights.
Yep. After License to Kill is Diamonds Are Forever.
I'm sorry, but he rides a cello case while shooting people and using the cello as some kind of rudder.
And this is your argument for why it's good. Diamonds Are Forever is not bad.
That's number 10, Diamonds?
I think that was 9.
Oh, wait.
11.
Well, because GoldenEye and Skyfall are both 2, so it's like 1, 2.
Wait, so
3,
who
4,
wait,
5,
who gave
6,
Spectre
7,
a good
8,
score?
9, 10. You're right.
Did you guys both give Spectre a good score?
Yeah. I liked it.
It is good.
You should be embarrassed.
It has problems, but it's good.
It's got lots of problems.
It's
What did you
too
guys
long.
give? Wait, what did you
Third
guys give it?
act
I just for the listeners at home, I just want them to know what you guys both gave.
We
Spectre.
both gave it an 8.
Yeah.
One of the greatest Bond movies ever. Spectre.
I should probably change mine, but I won't.
Just one
Stand
of the
by it.
finest and best of all the James Bond movies. The one where he's got cutouts of all his friends. In a
Hey,
building.
they did a little bit of that in this movie too, where like on the screens you see the broken Kabuki mask. Do you remember that part?
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
Their AV guy's really good though.
Yeah. Then after Diamonds Are Forever is, what did I say? Is that 10th?
10th, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So 11th is No Time to Die, and then Moonraker.
Moonraker should have been number 1.
So No Time to Die is sandwiched firmly between Diamonds Are Forever and Moonraker. Does that seem right?
It sort of
seems right. The only thing that doesn't make any sense here is that Spectre is so fucking high. That's in my mind. That's the only problem here. That's a bizarre movie to have that high.
I think it's bizarre that No Time to Die is way below Quantum and
Well, you
Spectre.
think No Time to Die is a great movie, and I disagree.
Honestly, the first half of Spectre, I was like really.
Oh yeah.
Really
And
into
honestly, if we're rating half movies, the first half of Spectre, and if you put together the first half of Spectre and the first half of No Time to Die, I agree with Matt. They're like 8 or 9.
Yeah,
The first half of Spectre, second half of Moonraker, best movie ever made.
What are we doing? What are we doing sitting
you
here
take
not making that happen?
Oh my
No,
god!
like No Time to Die, the first 2/3, loved it.
Yeah, I think I agree. Those would have been 8s for me if they had been as good consistently throughout as they were at the beginning, or
But like License to Kill, killing Felix was a big deal in that movie.
Yep.
And like it was just that was like the third or fourth biggest deal of what they did in No Time to Die.
Right.
Wait, they
him have-
kill Felix, or I thought just his legs get
Got his
eaten off?
legs eaten off. I don't know.
Oh,
I think
right.
he survived.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't even kill him.
This is the
Yeah.
first movie where he dies, right?
Yeah,
The
they're
fuck?
killing everybody
They
in this
just-
movie. Just killing everybody in this movie. They're just burning all their fucking bridges.
Oh, and here's something
So
I wanted to
reckless
say.
and stupid.
James Bond has a daughter. James Bond has a kid. So doesn't that mean he has like 1,000 kids? Like he's
Yeah.
James Bond.
I thought he was. I thought he was like sterile.
Yeah.
I assumed that
There's
they must
no
have.
way.
Yeah.
If he has one kid, like this is like, did you guys take logic in school?
Yeah,
If
just-
James Bond has a kid, James Bond must have hundreds of kids.
Just tons of little.
They should have done like, you ever see when movies do like a blooper reel over the credits?
Yeah.
They should have done like just bonus scenes of just like all the parents, like all the girls that he's fucked over the years, but they
Yeah.
all have like a kid in the background.
Just
They're
like with bright blue eyes, just a bunch of blue-eyed children running around.
James Jr., keep it down.
Oh man, I'm glad I got that in. I wanted to do that as like
Yeah.
a good joke. I should have led with that. Fuck.
Oh my god.
I mean,
Oh.
I think we're done,
Yeah,
boys.
I think we're done.
I think
this
that's
is,
it.
This is good. So, we are giving this a license to watch.
Yes.
Yes.
Just be warned, it ends stupidly
Wrong.
for no reason.
Wrong.
Yeah. I do feel like it feels shorter than how long it is. It's very long and doesn't feel
It's
that
easy
long.
to watch. And I feel like when you're doing it right, that's, like when you got us involved, that
Action and cinematography, lighting, costumes, all
so much
are
of it
like
is so good.
Score was good.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the music, the songs choices. Yeah, just really great. The acting.
Yeah. Hey, if you like watching James Bond die, probably a great movie. If you don't,
If you like
you'll
drama
be disappointed.
and surprises.
If you like
But James Bond movies aren't drama movies. They're melodrama movies. That's the thing.
If you like cheap ploy to make the audience interested in something, this is your kind of film.
if you like perfect arcs and seeing things come to completion.
Seeing things come to
gross.
completion.
Matt wants to see James Bond come to completion.
Yeah, like,
Hey, I like-
if you like seeing things die and come to completion,
Yeah.
come to see no time to
to completion. All right. Well,
You're
since
saying fans of necrophilia will like this movie.
I feel like we've.
Just repeating what you said.
Speaking of things coming to completion, I feel like this podcast has blown its load. And,
No, we're probably a little too hard on it.
I need a nap. No, I'm accurate. Matt is way too easy on it.
So much like this movie, this is we're putting the nail in the coffin for Bondcast, James Bondcast.
Until the new one comes out.
Until the new one comes out,
We'll
and- yeah.
reunite. We'll all have quit. We won't be speaking to each other after the feud, but we will come back.
The No Time to Die.
we will
on this very
reunite
night.
several years from now when they finally make another James Bond movie.
Oh, and then it'll be like the beginning of Mighty Ducks 2. And we'll be like, the ducks are getting back together. And we'll be like, quack, quack.
Yeah,
I don't
this
know.
time we're coming to completion.
All right, play that Bond theme.
You are about to embark on the most wonderful experience of your life. I will not explain at this moment how and why it works. I don't have the time, it just does. The secret is not apparent to the casual listener. It reveals itself only to the person who is willing to follow the step-by-step instruction and will follow through with a mental exercise by himself in the days that follow.